welcome retired filmmaker George Lucas.
Hello, I'm George Lucas, creator of Star Wars. Welcome to the George Lucas Talk Show Buddies Marathon. I'm
Watto, the Flying Space Drew, Patrick Gettin.
All right, let's start Spooky Buddies. Everyone pull up Spooky Buddies.
I'm scared.
Oh, I'm scared. Oh, no.
Are you guys ready?
No. Oh, no, I'm scared.
Patrick,
Patrick, I'm scared.
You have to reassure us, George. And
it's not going to be scary. It's not going to be scary. I promise it's not going to be scary.
It says it's going to be spooky.
It's going to be spooky, but it's not going to be scary. All right, we're going to press play. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me just get to it in the menu. Hold on. I have to scroll across to Spooky Buddies. Ready? And I have it queued up. Giving me the 3, 2.
3. No, let's go up. People don't like it when I go up. 1,
1, 2, 3.
2, 3.
Like a real daddy.
Okay. Patrick, serious question.
Patrick Cotnar. Hey, let's get some fan art for this. Patrick Cotnar, classic daddy.
Classic daddy. If he was in a movie, Tom Everett Scott would play him because he's a classic daddy.
We did get some. Hang on, we did get some fan art. I want to bring it up.
It also would be like it would be nice if people made fan art that said Patrick Cotnar is my daddy.
This is great fan art. So this is the United States of America. The computer is at one end. It has the leash that is so long.
Hang on. But Mike Lau, I need an update on this because George is actually in Marin County. So I think we actually need a leash going from Marin County to New York and then back to Bryson.
Yeah,
I think so. Point to leash.
Okay, and then we had one more. Let me pull it up. This is a Stephen Premmel. I believe that.
Now, Patrick, let me see the stretch goals.
Yeah, because I was going to say, serious question. I have lost count at this point. Am I about to? So I have prepared here, but I'm about to crack open the 7th bud and the 7th hot dog. So this means I have to double bun starts at 7. Yes, okay.
Hang on 1 sec.
Yes.
It's actually more than that. You ready for this? You ready for this?
Yeah.
Is it still up there?
Yes. I apologize. I forgot that double bun started at 6.
Hey,
here we go.
Motto?
Yes.
That email paid off, baby.
Really?
Yeah.
A little donation from the Whoopster?
Yeah, we love the Whoopster. We love her.
Hey, remember?
Whoopee.
Okay, so here we are. This is officially, I'm sorry I'm starting one late, but this is the 7th hot dog with the 7th Budweiser, and I'm officially double bunning it. I toasted the inner bun, soft outer.
Ooh.
Here.
All right, so what are we at, Patrick?
Hang on. We're at 7758. Somehow it got erased, but Patrick gets warm. I don't know who took that off. That was not me.
Well, let's put it at higher now because
No,
let's put it higher.
Okay.
We want to help these animals. And also, I'd like to add a stretch goal. Add a stretch goal.
Add a stretch goal.
8,500 is where we're going to be.
Okay.
I'd like to add a stretch goal, please.
What's your stretch goal, George?
Well, let me see the chart.
George would like to add this.
Oh, you know who's taking credit for this?
Who?
For ruining it?
Who?
Nice.
Oh boy.
No bumper outside of after show. It's a marathon. The format.
Bryson, we already made it clear that this is a crazy day where anything can happen. We had the Whoopster earlier.
Whoopee.
Yeah, and your Pat complaint corner bumper's been ready for like 45 minutes.
Well, let's play it because I think you're giving Pat a lot of reasons to complain right now.
All right, so let me see the what's your complaint, and then we'll add my stretch goal.
Well,
give me the gripe, Pat.
You want to know what it was an hour ago?
Yeah.
I ordered shrimp pad thai from a Thai place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It comes. Guess what's on the shrimp? The little tails. So now I got to dig my grubby little fingers through this pad thai to pull all the shrimp out and pull all the tails off.
That's standard of pad thai.
Woo!
Tails off?
No,
Shrimp.
no, shrimp tails.
tails?
Awoo.
All right, here we go. Bryson, say shrimp tails, and we're all going to try to say woo at the same time.
All right. Shrimp tails.
Awoo.
No,
Yeah,
see, this is the problem.
my
It's
tempo.
the opposite. Because you're the one who said shrimp tails. Don't put the pressure on Bryson. You should say it in the three of
Shrimp
us.
tails.
Bryson, George, and Watto. Well, not yet. Hold on. I'm going to give you a count. Ready? This is my count. Okay?
Shrimp tails.
Awoo.
Can we just look at the TV for a second? We haven't been watching the TV a lot during this.
Jesus.
Harland Williams is playing an evil warlock, and he has conjured up truly the spookiest buddy I have ever.
Watto, I'm going to be honest. I didn't even know that was Harland Williams.
I've been for the last 5 minutes trying to identify who it was,
I
and I
knew he was
knew
in this-
Harland Williams was in this.
Yeah.
Yes, he looks very spooky.
Yeah.
Patrick, give me let me see the stretch goal so I can add my next stretch goal. All right, so you get warm at 8,500. At 8,750. Let's add George gets foxy. George gets a little foxy.
You don't want to do 8,250, George?
Do 8,250. We can get to 8,250 pretty quick.
I think we can get people excited about knocking out both of those stretch goals at once.
And here's what I'll say. You know what time it is? Hey, Bryson, I'm taking you off. It's time for $5 friends. That's all we need is some $5 friends. If you haven't given any money today, there's like 500 of you watching. Just give $5. And if you have given money today, I don't know what your financial situation is, but if you can give $5 more, that'd be rad as heck.
Yes.
Rad as heck.
And let me say this. If you're not in a financial position to give $5.
People are asking, give me that link. It's at the bottom of the screen, bit.ly/GLTS buddies.
Yes. I want to make this clear. If you are not in a financial position to give $5 right now,
That's
you
okay.
should not feel any shame.
No.
That is okay. But that means that you look in the mirror, and if you identify, wait a second, that is a person who is in a position to give $10, give 10 to make up for the person who can't give 5. You know what I'm saying?
Hang on. People are asking if there's a way to give outside of US and Canada. You can give to the PayPal. It's bit.ly/GLTS gives, and I will add it to the. I will add it.
You'll add it.
Just trying to avoid, it's easier to do it this way. Yeah. Wow.
Wow. This I got to say, Spooky Buddies is going hard right from this.
Yes. Also, a step up in the special effects.
Yes, this movie looks expensive. I mean, once again, this is the second biggest Disney video series, only behind the Tinkerbell movies.
That is crazy. Do you think it's just because? Here's my.
Look out, Forrest Whitaker.
Do you think it's because there's just so many of them?
Because I see a ghost. Because I see a ghost dog.
Yeah, you shouldn't have interrupted George's
Jesus,
joke
Patrick.
flow.
I hope whatever you said was worth it, Patrick.
Wait, I don't get that joke.
Patrick, the last time you interrupted a joke that badly, it was Richard.
Yeah, but I don't understand this joke either.
I said, look out, Forrest Whitaker, because I see a ghost dog.
Ghost Dog Way of the Samurai.
A film by Jim Jarmusch. You never heard of it?
Do you not know from Jarmusch? It's in the Criterion Collection.
Patrick.
Casper Dog.
Oh, God. What?
Casper Dog.
I wish our show wasn't produced by a 2-year-old.
Casper Dog.
I am making a sophisticated reference to a film by Jim Jarmusch.
Casper Dog.
You watched 666 films last year, and you're telling me you've never heard of Ghost Dog?
Casper Dog.
Okay, take Patrick off the screen.
Take Patrick off the screen. Never bring him back.
George, I
never bring him back. He's broken.
I say this to you in confidence. This is a thing I can only express with the vulnerability
and
the confidence one feels when speaking to a best friend.
Yes.
I wish our show was not produced by a 2-year.
I cannot wait until he turns 3. This is
I cannot
the worst
wait.
age. The terrible.
He's in the terrible twos. He's in the terrible twos, and they sure are terrible. Okay, here's my double bun. I'm going to eat this up.
Patrick, come back on the stream.
Wonderful.
Wow, that didn't take long. Were you sitting there with your finger on the button waiting for us to beg you to come back?
What do you want from me?
Go off this thing.
I miss Patrick. That was not consent. Go away. All right. I think that Patrick is a good man.
Thank you.
What did you? Are we gonna have to restart the show? What did he just say?
He said thank you, but he's walking on a real tightrope.
The audio clipped at the beginning of it. It's not clear. It was
What
thank.
the frick are you talking about?
Hey!
We gotta restart the show now.
No, I said frick. I said frick.
No, you didn't. It didn't sound like that.
I said,
Nope.
hey guys,
Sound off in the comments.
Wait,
Sound off in the comments.
George Watto.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready for another guest in a second? Maybe.
Of course.
Do you want to talk to another guest?
Another guy?
Another guy right there?
Yeah. I don't think their camera is on. I don't know if they know that, but when it is on, I'll let you know when we're ready to talk to another guest.
Do they know that
the camera is on. You can say it, Lana.
Does our guest know that the way this show works is that Watto is the announcer, and anything the guest types into the private chat, Watto will read verbatim to introduce them.
Yes. So there's a private chat off on the side, and if our guest wants to write in there how they'd like to be introduced, we can say it. Our guest is talking to someone right now, so I'm not sure if they hear us.
Fair enough.
We'll see.
It's a little
Fair
peek behind the curtain that Patrick just offered us.
Yeah.
Are these dogs going to get scared?
I mean, I don't know.
That's the question. That's the central narrative tension of this film. Are the buddies spooky, or are the buddies going to get spooky?
Ooh. One of them just said, "Whoa, this place is really creepy."
I love this Casper dog.
It's a ghost dog. The way of the samurai.
You got to turn through.
Yeah.
I will say this. I am very excited for our next guest.
That's true. I am too.
And let's just say, not only have we seen him already on screen during this marathon, but he has been invoked by other guests as being a great, legendary performer.
Let's wait, because I hear they're having audio issues, so let's hold off one second.
Fair enough.
Yeah, if someone wants to do fan art of me and the Casper dog, I would love that. I would love that.
Now, this is funny because one of the dogs is calling another dog a fraidy cat.
That's funny.
Because they are not cats, they are dogs.
It's a bad thing to say if you're a dog.
A horrible thing to say.
Terrible thing to hear if you're a little dog buddy.
And B-Dog is showboating. B-Dog wants people to think that he is brave, so he is running headfirst into danger. Yeah, Patrick, you were asking the question earlier.
Oh, Patrick, this is the funniest scene in the movie for Patrick. The cemetery.
Patrick.
Is that
Skylar Gazondo, who is the voice of B-Dog, playing that boy on screen, and that is Rance Howard, legendary actor, father of Ron Howard and Clint Howard on screen. Patrick, sometimes when a friend says to you, do you want to go see a show at a comedy club tomorrow night? Do you accidentally go to a cemetery instead?
You know, I haven't done that, but I'm more than Watto. I will say one of the places that I've gone to walk around a lot near my house has been a large cemetery, just because it's very empty. Watto, I hear
because Caroline's is closed.
Yeah. Watto, I hear our guest's audio is good to go. So if you can hear us, type in the private chat how you would like Watto to introduce you. It's off to the side. You should.
Yes. If you can hear me, anything you type into the private chat, I will read verbatim as your introduction. And now,
if you can't figure that out, just give me a thumbs up and I'll bring you in and we'll figure it out then.
I'm excited for this guest.
I am too. George, Watto, what if it's Casper Dog?
It might be. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? We love Casper Dog.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Someone, please. I know you've already requested. Please make fan art of Patrick and Casper Dog. And despite the fact that we are trying to not curse and keep this stream PG-13, do not feel like you need to censor the fan art at all. It can be explicit because Patrick loves Casper Dog. And with that out of the way, I want to say, it is my great pleasure to inform all of you that Diedrich Bader loves puppies and doesn't care who knows it. Folks, please welcome to the George Lucas Talk Show, Diedrich Bader!
Hi, everybody.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for coming.
I love that we're talking about the buddies pictures. That's fun for me.
Yeah.
This has been great for me.
You must be so tired of talking about the buddy pictures. I imagine every other day you're doing some retrospective of the buddy picture.
Well, if I'm not talking about it, I'm thinking about it. It's been kind of my thing for quite some time. So, I'm just happy to be talking about it in a more public fashion because, you know, I stand on a corner proselytizing that everyone should watch the Buddies movies and that the world would be better if they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We, the one we watched a few hours ago.
Patrick, I can't hear you.
Can't hear me. Can you hear Watto? Watto, talk.
Can you hear Watto?
I can hear Watto.
Right. Can you hear me? Can you hear George?
I can hear George Lucas.
Can you hear me?
Right.
I cannot hear Patrick.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Here's the thing, Diedrich. Sometimes we can hear Patrick, but we can't really hear what he's saying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, even when the technology is working, it doesn't hit the ear because it does not make sense.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It doesn't really translate into anything that we can actually use as a question or
you're not missing anything.
Anything. No, I'm getting that. I'm catching up, but I'm getting it. Patrick, try again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
There you are.
I unplugged my microphone, so that was the issue, I guess.
Oh, okay.
The last time we saw you in one of these movies, you were up in space. You had crazy hair. You were by yourself.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? Because I assume you were not acting against anybody else, right?
No, I was pretty much by myself. Script supervisor would read the lines off camera when I was supposed to be talking to the guys, and then I was with the puppies, which was really fabulous. And Robert, the director, who's just an incredibly nice guy. I just love him so much. And the reason that I keep coming back is that it's a really fun company to work with, and it's a great product. I had a good time. He let me improvise a bunch, and that was really fun for me. And I got to do that dance, which was super fun. I mean, you know, it was like I worked all alone, me and the puppies. That was pretty much it. And they had a big set. I got to do my stunt where I dove through that thing. That was super cool. I normally don't like to do my own stunts because I'm afraid. Mm-hmm. But that's really the bottom line. Yeah, because you can get hurt. And I'm super not into that. So I love stuntmen. It's nothing about that. But it was really fun to dive through that thing.
Yeah. How many of these have you been in? I'm trying to count because you're in.
Because you've done voiceover, but you've done both. You've done both, right? Yes.
Right. So I think other than
it's
the one that I'm on camera, I think
Yeah.
I've done 5 others.
wow.
So I'm all in.
Yeah, you're
I'm
fully invested. That's great.
I mean, you're one of these guys, and many of our guests today have fit into this, but also many of the performers in this franchise fit into this, where you have kind of equally robust careers on camera and in voiceover. You're working both all the time.
Yeah, I'm very, very lucky that way. The voiceover world is incredibly based on talent. So I am a fraud next to all of these people that are so unbelievably talented. I count myself extremely lucky to be with some of the greatest performers I've ever met in the voiceover world. I'm very lucky to be in both worlds. It's rare that an actor gets to do both. And I'm just very lucky to be part of that.
I mean, you're being very modest, but we talked about this with Tom Everett Scott earlier on the show, because he was a cast member on the Batman Brave and the Bold. You were the goddamn Batman.
That was Batman, yeah.
You were
Tom
Batman,
and I,
baby.
Yeah. Tom played my brother in a pilot 20, let me see, 20, it's got to be 25 years ago.
Whoa.
In a multicam, which means like in front of an audience pilot, where I met my wife.
Wow.
How's that? How's that for a coinky dink?
That's
So
good.
I love that you were talking to Tom, because he has played in a major way in my life.
Well,
Lovely actor, great guy. He was golden.
He was Booster Gold.
Booster Gold, yeah. Who I then played in Justice League Action. Booster Gold is a great character. Yeah.
Well, Diedrich, I have to say, you know, we've talked to several people throughout the course of the day today, and we bring up various things they've done, and it's remarkable how many of the credits that guests earlier in the day have had you have shared. We talked with Danny Woodburn was on Monk. You were also on Monk.
Yeah.
We talked to someone who was on Murphy Brown. You were also on Murphy Brown.
Yeah, me and Ryan.
Whoopi Goldberg was on Star Trek The Next Generation. You were also on Star Trek The Next Generation. It almost...
I just want to... I'm sorry, George. I just want to highlight the fact to make it very clear. Whoopi Goldberg was on this show earlier. Go on.
I know. I'm loving that. Whoopi Goldberg was there. That's very cool. Let me tell you something.
It almost seems as if you have been stalking the cast members of the Buddies films.
That's right. That's really what I do.
So far in advance.
Yeah.
That anywhere they've been, you go as well.
Oh, yeah. It's a long play. I'm in for the long play.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. No, I mean, you know, I've been lucky, very lucky to work over the years, and I love working. So you could easily say I'm not a particularly picky actor. I don't really hold back. If somebody calls and says, we want you to be on the show, if the script makes me giggle, I'm pretty much there.
Yeah.
So I like working. I enjoy it. I like working with actors, and I like being on a set. I really love it. I've never wanted to do anything else in my life than be this. Before I wanted to be an actor, I wanted to be a spider monkey, which is probably not going to work out. So I'm glad that one of my goals did.
You got it figured out. That's good.
I will say this, Diedrich. We've been in this pandemic for the last 10 months.
Yes.
About 4 months prior to the pandemic, Watto went through a bad breakup. So essentially, for the last year plus, Watto has been pretty much bedridden watching sitcoms. Right? First as a coping mechanism, then as a distraction from the fact that he cannot leave his home. Right?
That's what entertainment is all about. That's right.
Of course. So I've been watching sitcoms nonstop for the last year plus. And you make an appearance in a late episode of Cheers. It is a very late season. It's one of the episodes where Diane returns, right?
That's right.
I believe, where you're a waiter. And it's one of those things where I've been a fan of yours for a long time. Drew Carey Show is one of my favorites. That's one of your earliest appearances. And you come on and you land every joke so hard. You just score so hard in front of a live studio audience that it's one of those things where you go like, this is an early appearance from this guy, and he is immediately staking claim that he is going to work nonstop for the rest of his life. Like this guy is ready to hit. And it's one of the pleasures of going through and watching older sitcoms is seeing, there we go, like only appearances by
fantastic
people like you who are just like ready. You're right there, you show up, you score, you know?
Thank you, Watto. I really appreciate it. That was a really fun job for me. Not only was I a big fan of the show, but I just was really excited to be on that set. I mean, you know, that was incredible for me. And the second one I did, my mom was here in town. Just by
you're two different characters in different episodes.
No, same waiter. They brought the waiter back.
Okay, sorry.
They went back to the restaurant, and I was the waiter again, and it was like the sassy waiter bit. Which was, you know, just a standard turn, and it's a good, solid joke. I hadn't gotten many laughs all week, and then in front of the audience, I got like a huge laugh once we were finally in front of the audience. And I remember because Ted Danson turned around and looked at me, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" He was really nice. That's not to take away from Ted, who's fantastic. So that was fun. I got to meet Alexis Smith. On the first one, it was called Sammy and the Professor, and Alexis Smith had worked with Errol Flynn. She was called the Ice Queen. My mom was very excited to meet her because she was a very big star in the 50s when my mom was, you know, really still watching lots and going to movies. So that was really fun because she told some incredible Errol Flynn stories that were really fun, and she was just great. She's a great star. God, thank you for saying that. That was cast by Jeff Greenberg, great casting director who used to do Modern Family. I think that was his last show. Really wonderful guy. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
It was like it was an exciting moment as someone who has been a fan of your work for so long to see someone in such an early appearance just go like, they've always been built for this. They were just ready. They're hitting. The first time they hit the field, they're ready.
But I mean, Watto, you're talking about this, and Diedrich, obviously, you have, I think it's over 200 credits on him. You get so many things, but I feel like there's probably two roles that people ask you about the most, and I wasn't going to do it.
Okay.
But I feel like I should.
Go ahead, do it. I don't want to disappoint. That's for sure.
Can we talk about Officer Cheats and Ted Betterhead and the Country Bears?
I didn't know that's where you.
We have to. We have no choice.
We have to.
People will be so angry if we don't ask.
I love that. Yeah, sure. I mean, that part I did not. Okay, here's how I got it. I first got Ted the bear, right?
Yeah.
As a voiceover.
Now, Ted the bear. This is before they decided to make bear movies in which Ted was the main bear.
You were the original.
This is not the Ted franchise. Seth MacFarlane is not.
Exactly. No.
You were there. You were there first.
That's right. I was breaking ground. Also, it was one of the first. If I'm correct, I may be wrong, but I think it's one of the first rides that then became
number one
ride.
Right. So I mean, I think before that, after this, I pitched the Tiki Room, but that didn't go. But for some reason. But anyway, so I was cast as Ted the bear as a voiceover, and they had not cast Officer Cheats, and but they had to do the table read for the picture, and I was there to do Ted, and they were like, "Could you read Cheats just for the table read?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, of course. I'll, happy to do you a favor." And so I read Cheats, and then they called basically when I was driving home, and they were like, "Do you want to play Cheats too?" And I was like, "So I'm a bear chasing a I'm the cop chasing the bear, and I'm the bear and the cop." Yeah, and they were like, "Yeah," and I go, "Oh, that is a challenge."
Long before Bennett, this was a mind bender. Back then, that you are the bear, but you chase the bear.
I chase the bear.
I
chase my own bear, my inner bear. So
of man.
It would be great. It would be great if there were T-shirts that would have Ted on the back and Ted on the front, and it says "I am the bear," and then on the back it's Officer Cheats and says "I chase the bear."
Oh, that's very good. I would love that.
If someone wants to make fan art of that, I feel like we can show that while Diedrich's
totally be in on that. That would be awesome. So one thing I'm proud of, besides the fact that I got to that was the first time I worked with Christopher Walken. That was super fun. And I got to work with Chill Mitchell, who's really lovely.
Yeah.
Stephen Tobolowsky, who I'd worked with a bunch of times. But anyway, so my pitch was the car wash scene where our characters actually go through the car wash.
That's the gag in the movie.
Yeah, no, it got in the movie, and that was my pitch. The writer wrote it, so I don't want to take a credit away from where credit is due. But that was my pitch to have us, because I'd never seen that at a movie before, and they had like a bit where we go through a car wash, but no, they didn't. There was no car wash scene. That's it. I'm sorry, it was a long time ago. But yeah, so my pitch was that we get sucked in to the car wash and then go through the car wash. And when I went to the screening of it, the reaction of the kids was really great, and I was very satisfied by that. So I'm happy with that picture. It's fun. Thank you for bringing it up.
It's a fun movie. We had we did a Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip retrospective back in, when was that, September, Watto?
Yeah, maybe.
September, October.
Who knows at this point,
Stephen Tobolowsky came on, and he gave us a Diedrich Bader scoop. And I feel like we should talk about it. He said that you guys love a book, and you guys have talked about a book together. And he told us that we now need to read this book, which is something that we're working on. Is this true? Do you love Bleak House?
Oh, yeah. Bleak House, in my opinion, is, I mean, everybody loves David Copperfield. That was Dickens' own favorite. But I love Bleak House. I think it's the first Dickens that I read. And I really fell in love with it, and I turned Stephen onto it, and he's a great reader. He and I have a habit of reading on sets. Just because there's a tremendous amount of time. I mean, actors, people don't know this, but the movie schedule is very, very slow. We have an inordinate amount of time where we just wait around. And I like to bring something to read. It's a good use of time. And Dickens is just really fun to read. I've read most of them to my kids, playing all the characters, which was really fun for me, and hopefully fun for them. I didn't, bore them to tears. But Bleak House is I think a great one. So how fun that Tobo said that. That's fun.
Well, what Tobo told us specifically is that you are the person who made him realize that Columbo is just ripped from Bleak House.
That's right. I love that Stephen remembers all these conversations. That's very sweet. I love that. Yes, that's
yeah.
Now I want to. I don't know if I'm betraying trust within the inner circle of the George Lucas Talk Show, but I feel like we need to verbalize this at this point.
Okay.
Today we are doing a marathon of the Buddies films to raise money for charity.
Yeah.
It's been going great.
Yeah.
But some people might say from the outside, are they struggling to come up with subjects of charity marathons? Why are they doing the Buddies?
Sure.
In truth, there is daily a lot of back and forth trying to brainstorm potential marathons looking for, right? We're trying to find good subjects, things that are interesting to watch, that people know, that have interesting people involved who could possibly come on as guests. At many times, it has been thrown out. Maybe we could just do a marathon where we watch the Country Bears 6 times in a row. We've had Tobo on the show before. We promised him we would read Bleak House, and we would not bring him on again until we finish Bleak House. You are now on this show. Haley Joel Osment has been on the show twice.
Haley's great. What a great guy.
Haley's great. I'm just saying, 3 of our favorite people.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get an ironclad commitment from you right now, but I'm trying to float this out to you and to the audience. Should we try to slowly pierce together the key members of the Country Bears, working towards a Country Bears-a-thon where we watch it over and over again?
I think that sounds a little crazy. I don't know how many people would stick with that many viewings, but I do have a pitch based on basically what you were just saying. Made me think of it. And I thought this is where you were going, and so I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think it would be super interesting to do a Stephen Tobolowsky film festival where you just do movies of Stephen Tobolowsky where he's in it, like Groundhog's Day, for example, would be a start, Country Bears. and then include the other actors that worked with Tobo during those movies. And I think you get a lot of people because he's one of the greatest character actors around. And that would be something that I personally would watch. Another guy who I think should be appreciated, and if you were to do this, I think you would get like a lot of attention, is Stephen Root. Stephen Root is one of the greatest actors ever in Hollywood, one of the greatest character actors in the history of show business, and somebody I absolutely worship. I think I'm in 2 movies with him, but I'm not entirely sure.
And then
Office Space and something else. I can't remember.
Were you in the episode of Veep that he's in?
Yeah, but
yeah,
it's not that. It's he's a bear in Country Bears. That's what it is.
Well, and Diedrich, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you and Steven are both in the voice cast of an upcoming animated series.
Oh yeah?
Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Oh, right. That with Kevin Smith.
Are the voice of Trapjaw. Steven is the voice of Cringer. And we all know
King
Randor. There are 2 voices.
Yeah.
A show that features.
Yes. We love little Orko there. Yeah.
Friend of the show. I can't remember now.
It's friend of the show, Griffin Newman. He's he's got a podcast. It's not. We don't like to get involved with them.
Yeah.
But you're playing the king. You're playing He-Man's father and Trapjaw, who I would argue is the coolest of the villains.
Yeah.
He's the most badass. Skeletor's the big guy, but like Trapjaw's like the Boba Fett. He's like the visually awesome, mysterious one.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love it. You know, Kevin and I met on, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah.
And hit it off immediately. He's an incredibly nice guy. And, you know, he can get any cast he wants because the bottom line is he's so nice. You want to work with him. It's just, it doesn't really matter what he's doing. I personally, my brother and I loved the original animated show. We watched it together. We loved it. I mean, truly, we loved it unconditionally. So the fact that I got to be in it was really cool. And also, you know, get to work with Kevin and Mark and just, I mean, it's an astounding cast. So I love the Tobos, and I didn't know that. I have to wait a minute. Is Stephen
Root's in it. That's who he was talking about.
Right. No, Tobo's not in it. Root plays Cringer, who is the form of Battle Cat before he becomes Battle Cat when he's a very wordy.
You know a lot about this cast, Watto. I know Kevin Smith was on the show, so I know you're a Smith head, but
I'm a big He-Man fan.
You're a big
He-Man. Yeah, he's got the glass. I mean, for God's sake.
Jeez.
That's commitment. You gotta admire
that. Diedrich, people in the chat want to know if you have any good Jim Varney stories from Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Jim was one of the nicest actors I've ever worked with. One of the greatest storytellers. Up until working with, I'm going to remember his name in a second. He was the greatest raconteur that I've met. Really lovely guy who had incredible memory. He could tell jokes almost endlessly and not be oppressive. He and I, when we were shooting the beginning of the picture in Northern California, it was actually the end of the shoot. And I was supposed to have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. So Thursday night, Jim and I, you know, got pretty loaded. And then we went back to our room and we drank through both of our mini bars. And then I came back to my room and the little red light, this is before cell phones. My little red light was on, and I was like, why is my little red light on? And so I checked my messages, and they had moved up my scene from Monday to Friday. And it was a disaster. It's actually the first time that Jethro is on camera. I'm driving the truck.
Yeah.
And I literally had not slept. So it was really horrible because my pickup was 4 because it was a long drive up to the location. And it was 3 when I got the message. But Jim was just a great, lovely guy. I will say one thing about Jim. On his days off on the Hillbillies, when we were here in Los Angeles, he would go to the cancer ward of Children's Hospital. dressed as his Ernest character. And he would play Ernest. He would just be Ernest all day, and it didn't matter how long it was. He was there all day. They gave him a sandwich. That was it, and then he left. And that's Jim, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. And when he died, I'm still sad. When he died, I was very sad. He was a lovely guy.
Yeah, I feel like he is not. He is a guy who does not get nearly enough credit, you know, as much as he was also very work is well known. Yes, I just think people don't sort of acknowledge the actual impact that he had. He's
underappreciated and everybody thinks that. Look, there's three things if we can talk about him. One is everybody thinks throughout the South that he's from their town because he was the first to shoot local commercials. Specifically for different markets. So let's say you're in Lexington, Kentucky. You think that Jim is from Lexington because he'll do the local, I think it was Toyota, but I'm not entirely sure, Toyota dealership. He would do, if you remember how Ernest was created, it was like one take.
I do want to say, did you just say Lexington randomly, or did you say that on purpose?
Randomly, why?
Because he was born in Lexington, Kentucky.
Oh, was he? That's funny.
That is actually the town.
That's funny. That's hilarious. Okay, let's say Germantown then. No, I don't know. But anyway, that's pretty funny. But, he would do a bit like, well, Vern, this is your problem here. You got a little wire that, that's the problem right there. That was the bit. Yeah. And then the rest of the time he would talk about the dealership. And then he would do take after take after take after take, all one take. And he could do 70, 80 in a day. And then they would go to the local, and he and the director, I'm afraid I can't remember the name of anymore.
John Terry, right?
John, yeah, that's right. Thank you for that. They would, then they would distribute it to the different outlets, and that was a remarkably clever business thing to do. Two, he did a bit in, I can't remember what the name of the picture is, but Ernest is on a jury, and he has to do jury duty. Anyway, he bites a pen, and the ink comes off in his mouth. And he does a bit where he tries to, because he's embarrassed and he doesn't want anybody to see that he's got ink all over his face. He tries to get rid of the ink, and it has a great build to it. It's perfectly placed. Yeah. It's a genuinely funny bit, and it's inarguably really great. I mean, the Ernest movies are what they are. I think they're funny, but I like broad humor. But that particular bit is truly well done.
Right. And he was a masterful comedic performer, and even just your underlining, like, I don't think people process. They think of Ernest as a given. Oh, that's this guy. He's in a bunch of movies. That's this character. Just the arc from being a local commercial character, right? Yeah. Having to work city to city in all these very regionally locked ads to then go to being national, to having a TV show, to having a film series. Is just not a thing that happens.
No, it's not a thing that happens.
No,
he was remarkable. And the third thing I would say is that he actually he played Puck when he was a kid from Midsummer Night's Dreams, and he could still remember his lines. And when we were late one night, because the hours are really long, late one night he just started doing his lines, and it was beautiful. He was a beautiful cat. He also turned me on to a John Prine song that I had never heard. Christmas in Prison, he brought his dobro. A lot of people don't know that he was actually a really wonderful player, and he sang it. That was the first time I heard it, and then I heard the Prine version, and that's when we were in the mountains shooting the beginning of the picture, and it was a lovely experience.
I mean, those are great stories. That was exactly what I was hoping for when we brought it up. What's the scariest thing about taking over Batman?
Oh, just that I can never top Kevin. I mean, I think we're all doing Kevin impressions. Mine is particularly bad. Yeah, I mean, Kevin is the greatest. He's the best. He's my favorite. The cowl is a mighty mantle, and the best part an actor can ever play. And I still am, because I know that Harlequin has been picked up, so I get to play him again. It's an incredible part. I mean, talk about backstory.
You have this kind of incredible lane within the Batman tapestry, which is, I mean, I remember like Brave and the Bold starts shortly after the Nolan movies, right? Yeah, and those movies are rebooting in such a serious psychological vein. And I remember the framing of Brave and the Bold is, this is just fun. This is getting back to Adam West. This Batman is not burdened by the death of his parents. Like, this is just dealing with the fun elements of Batman that have been gone from so long. And Harley Quinn's the same thing, where it's like you're just dealing with the fun of Batman in a way. You know, I mean, you get James to play Tucker, such a different thing than Kevin played.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I mean, James Tucker, the creator of our show and one of the greatest showrunners I've ever worked with, wanted to. He had this whole thing, not my Batman, because it did taking Batman in a very different direction. I'll tell you, our response when we first went down to Comic-Con, before the show came out, Warner Brothers Animation did a very big pitch for us. We had this enormous billboard. They were great. Warner Brothers was great the whole time. But the fans of Batman were pretty intense. They were not open to the idea of a comedic Batman.
Sure.
They were all in on the Dark Knight, which I totally get. Dark Knight's fantastic. But the Batman, as you're pointing out, Wano, can be a lot of different things and still legitimately be Batman. We had kind of a hostile response, I would say, on the whole, when we went down there the first time. And then the next time we went down there, it was a very different response, because the show had been on the air and people knew that it came from a place of love, that we would never do anything to betray the essential character of Batman. And that's, I think, what a lot of people were worried about. Somebody that played Lawrence or whatever was not going to honor Batman. That's not true. But I get their reservations. So I don't mean to diminish their reservations, because I understand how loved Batman is, and I respect that.
Right.
But they were a little quick to judge, which I think is a fair thing to say.
But it is funny to me. George, yes, no, this is your territory.
It's so surprising that these were young men. Yes, a lot of them.
Yeah,
that young men who are fans, and even as they get older, the intensity of their fandom. It's so surprising that they were so quick to judge the franchise that they had devoted their affections to. It's a fascinating. It truly is a fascinating thing how when you make something that people love enough, there's no limit to the fury that they will accumulate within themselves at anything new that is made as part of the thing that they love.
Well, like anything that you love, you want to defend it. I mean, that's your first response, and I completely understand that. It was difficult.
You want to defend.
What? Sorry?
When you love someone, you want to defend.
That's right. You do. Yeah. And when you love something, you want to defend it. It's I mean, it just is. And as I say, I completely understand their response. It's just at the same time, it was like, you just haven't seen the show, so you don't know what you're talking about.
Now, Diedrich, I want to ask you a question about what's behind you, because I see one big bird and I see at least two other little birds.
Yeah.
A few birds. Yeah.
A few birds.
There.
But what are the animals that aren't birds? There's a bird. That's not a bird.
That's a duck.
Yeah.
That's a sheep.
That
looks like a
moose.
A moose. Yeah, I'd say a moose. That's a hunter.
Okay.
He's got a rifle.
And he's facing the opposite direction of all these animals. Are they sneaking up on him?
These are targets. So I collect them. They're throughout the house. They are targets from fairs that people would have. So they're cast iron. I have them throughout the house. They're So these are little targets, and the hunter obviously is a pretty hard target to hit.
But you've displayed them in such a way that I feel like they tell a little story. Now, who's this big-headed person right in front of the hunter?
This guy? Oh, wait, this guy?
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so that my mom was an artist. She's gone now, and that is her portrait of this guy who used to sweep up in her neighborhood in front of her studio. He just kind of he collected money from a bunch of different people, you know, shop owners and whatever. It was a commercial strip. And she was on the second floor of this building in Alexandria, Virginia, where I'm from. So she liked his face and paid him for his time to sit. This portrait, she has portraits in the National Portrait Gallery, and she did it as a living. You know, she did portraits. But this was somebody that she paid to model for her. And I have two, I'm trying to think if it's two or three. I think it's three pieces in the house that are portraits that she actually paid the model to sit for her, because she would see these faces and she had to sculpt them. And so I love this guy. He was, I mean, just a guy who appreciated that she paid him $1,000 and he was happy to have the money. I
also like, and that's sculpted. Yes, what I'm seeing back there is that sculpted.
That's right. Yeah, it's not a cast. Wait a minute, I'm doing it backwards. There we go. It's not cast. It's the actual clay that she sculpted in, and then that was fired, like you would do pottery, for example.
Yeah.
Can we go full screen on Diedrich so we can see a better view of that? Yeah.
Oh yeah, but let me get out of the way of the guy. Yeah, that's him. Oh wait.
Over other shoulder.
Yeah. There you go.
And then I have to go over here.
Other way. Yes. Other way.
Yeah.
Yes.
There he is. Sorry guys, this is backwards. It's hard to.
There you go.
Well, you see, it's extraordinary. Well, one thing I love is that, you know, oftentimes that kind of a sculpture, that sort of bust, is reserved for, you know, people of history. You know, it's a general or emperor or something like that. I love that it's someone who had a normal person who had an interesting face that your mother was intrigued by. I also love that it was a week. I didn't see it most of the time because your head is in front of his head.
Oh yeah,
that your head, yes. But before I was sort of seeing a little story. I was seeing a story which was that the hunter was going after that big bird, and he was missing all of the smaller creatures that were behind him. But then I love that when you moved, then it revealed this other story about this man who swept up in the neighborhood.
He was I didn't know him, Matt, but yeah, he worked the block. You know, he just like swept up, and that's where his life was. Whatever. It's
so interesting that this man, you know, had no idea that someday his likeness would be, you know, in your home. It would be being admired.
Isn't that the beautiful thing about art? Yeah, you never know. You never know who's going to see it. It's you never know the audience. It's a beautiful thing about art. One of the things I really love is the surprise of art and how it continues to resurface in a bunch of different ways. I mean, you know, the idea that people in the middle of the night could catch a picture that I'm in or a TV show is, and I don't know what they're feeling at that exact moment. I'm going to go because it's almost dinner time, but let me tell you one last thing. Yeah. Because this leads me to it. During this time of unbelievable tragedy and tumult in the world, it is my great honor to be an entertainer and to have the opportunity to try to lighten people's loads, to try to distract them from the world as it is right now and show them that there can just be laughter in their lives. And the Buddies pictures, if somebody would watch it with their kids, I hope that brings them joy during this time. I know that it's very difficult what people are going through right now. My kids haven't left the house since March. So I know, and I'm just hoping that in some way I can help in whatever way to get people through this. And now I can smell my wife's cooking, so I'm going to have to go.
I will say to that point, Diedrich, you are one of those actors, the limited list of actors. I mean, along with Tobo and Stephen Root, where anytime I hear your voice or see your face show up in anything, I feel better. I am always
nice thing to say. Thank you.
Diedrich, before you go, and tying into what you just said about as an entertainer, providing these moments of joy and escape in tough times, I believe, Patrick, there is some fan art that maybe might be pleasing to Diedrich that has just appeared mere seconds ago.
Oh wow, this is a big one. Hang on one sec. Let me get this out.
Hopefully this will lighten your day.
By the way, thank you to the people that did the direct message stuff. I see it and it's very nice. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Here we go.
Oh no! Oh, I love that.
Here we go. Get ready for the back.
Yes. Fantastic.
We need to make this shirt.
Oh, I love that. I want one so bad.
We'll figure this out. We'll figure this out.
We'll get that to you.
You're the best. Thank you so much.
You're the best.
Great night.
Stay safe.
That guy rules. That is the definition of a guy I've always wanted to have on the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What a great guy. Patrick, where are we? Where are we at the numbers? Is it
George right now? Right now, George, we are at. Let me confirm this is up to date. Yeah, I believe it is.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I need to make 2 more hot dogs, get 2 more Budweisers.
Yes, but Watto,
I'm up to date on the buds. I have to finish the second half of this dog before I make the next.
Oh, Watto, before you do that, I do have another guest I want to bring in.
Another guest?
Another guest. And this is a different kind of guest than what we've had. So I want to talk to her and
Wait,
get
say that again. Say that again. What kind of guest is this?
It's another guest.
But what is it? The same kind of guest?
A different kind of guest, Watto.
What? What?
Now, guest who's waiting. You'll understand in a second what I'm saying.
Okay.
Guest who's waiting.
Guest who's waiting?
Guest who's waiting. Can you type in the private chat, if you can see the private chat, how you want Watto to introduce you? Because he will write whatever you say in here. Yeah, just write.
You type hello. Thank you for typing hello. You can type your own introduction now, and Watto, as the announcer of this show, will read it verbatim to bring you onto the stream.
Guest who's waiting?
Yeah.
Guest who is waiting?
I'm excited to talk to this guest.
I'm very excited to go.
Yeah.
Add me to the list of people who are excited to talk to this guest.
There are 3 people on the list who are excited to talk to this guest. Grogru's and Gragras. I am verklempt. It is my great honor, nay, privilege, to introduce to the audience, to bring on to the George Lucas Talk Show, Georgina Bradley, animal trainer to the dogs of the world.
Georgina, how are you? I think you're muted. I think if you hit unmute, we'll be able to hear you. You see there's a button down.
Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
I'm a little dark. Can you see me?
Yes.
Why don't you try turning on that light? I know it blurred out a little bit when you did it, but if you try it, it might be a little bit better.
I'll just move it away.
Yeah, that works.
It gets a little bright.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Okay.
How are you?
Hold on.
Georgina, right off the bat, what is the name of this dog friend you have with you?
This is Oscar, and he's a little Brussels Griffin. He's an Ewok.
Oh.
You can hardly see him. He's so dark.
Adorable.
He is. And just wait a second. I'm going to put on a little special hat that we dug out of his little bag of tricks.
Yeah.
1 second.
No.
1 second. Because he sometimes takes his own clothes off.
I mean, we all do, you know?
Well, he's a very clever little guy. There he is.
Oh my gosh.
He's an Ewok.
Oh my god!
Oh, yeah, no.
Put your feet up there.
Oh man, that's the best.
Yeah.
Watto does drum. Now, Watto,
what kind of drum?
I don't know. Oh, an Ewok drum. Wow, look at that. Now, Georgina, we just hit raised a lot of money. We're at $9,110 right now. Watto at every $1,000 is eating a hot dog and drinking a Budweiser for the the dog and the Bud Air Buddies. It's a whole thing. So he's going to go eat up some hot dogs, but George and I are going to chat with you about these movies right now until Watto gets back.
Okay, enjoy.
So let's hear, how did you get involved in these movies? Because you are truly, like, looking at your IMDb, you're an animal trainer in so many, projects that a lot of people know and love, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did you get involved in these?
Wow, it was a story of kind of the right place at the right time. I used to work in veterinary hospitals, and I think I always had an interest in training animals. And some trainers came in from a show called Homeward Bound 2, and I thought, that's an interesting job. And I asked them if they needed any help, and they said yes. Yeah. So I started working on that show within 2 weeks and quit the full-time job shortly after that to run away with them and do more films. So it was a great start, and that was back in 1994.
That rules.
Yeah.
That rules. And then you've been going ever since.
Been going ever since, yeah.
Yeah. What have been your favorite things to work on in the past?
Well, definitely
I'm seeing 101 Dalmatians. I'm seeing Snow Dogs. I'm seeing Willard. I'm seeing iRobot. There's so many things.
Oh, they were all great. I think near and dear to my heart is the puppies of the Air Buddies saga.
Right. That's good.
Because Golden Retriever puppies, they're lovely animals. I mean, all animals are lovely.
Yeah.
Just that particular breed has got just a beautiful soul in them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I still would like a Golden Retriever puppy one day.
Yeah.
But Oscar is enough, the little Brussels Griffin I have. And there's some fond memories of the puppies from the time on those films. And all the puppies on 101 Dalmatians, I didn't really work directly with. I was with the adult dogs. So with Pongo and Purdy and all of the adult doggies, I was helping with those. And
so can you talk the audience through and us what exactly a dog trainer or an animal trainer is doing on a movie like this? Like, what is your day-to-day like with these animals?
Well, we get up real early to go wake everybody up and get them all loaded onto our trucks or get them ready to go to set. We make sure we have all their toys and all their food and cleaning supplies if they're not already on location, and get ready for the day, and usually drive to the studio or to a location and get set up. And then we start usually prepping with the dogs right when we get there, so that what we're doing for the day, it's fresh of mind, front of mind, so that they know what they're doing. And then everything changes when we get to set. So it's quite an adventure.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to show, because this movie, Georgina, I don't know if you've seen this one, but there's a ghost dog in it. And I love this ghost dog. It just showed up, and it looks like Casper. So people have been drawing some fan art, and I wanted to show this off because we haven't seen it yet. This is me with the ghost dog.
That's great.
I believe there was another one. Yeah, here we go. This one says "Be Mine." We love it. We love them. I just wanted to show that to the people who made it.
Now, when you're working with real animals, but there's an effects element to the animals, because obviously animals speak, so you have a CGI movement of the mouth. But obviously it's much easier if you can just, if you want the dog to look to the left or look to the right, it's much easier if you can just get them to do it and film it than it is to have to deal with special effects. What percentage would you say when you're dealing with these? What is the process like for knowing what things you have to get and what things you get by happenstance when you're filming dogs?
Yeah, it's a great question. So a lot of the magic happens just allowing them to do their normal thing. And I think one of the hardest things to get dogs to do is natural behaviors like play. We want the dogs to play in this one little area right here. And
Right.
They're going to do it or not. So
and wanting them to play within a specific composition, because I would assume there's a lot of times when the dogs want to play over here and it's maybe not quite in the frame, and by the time you move everything, then they're over here. Like, how are you able to? Do you have to trick them, or do you have to entice them to get them to certain areas?
Well, there's lots of tricks up our sleeves. It's figuring out what's going to work with them in the moment. And we do our best to prepare them for what we'd like to see on set, and training them for just a look at me request, to keep their heads still so that the camera can get those still shots of the live animal and add the talking mouth. So there's a lot of structure around some foundation training, and then a lot of fun things too, teaching them. So it's a bit about knowing their personalities and how to utilize that in certain areas.
Go ahead, George.
No, you go ahead, Patrick.
I was gonna ask about, you mentioned tricks, and I want to know, are there any specific tricks that you use over and over again to get some specific effect from the animals? Like, are you, I don't know, this is gonna sound dumb, but like, they use the peanut butter on Mr. Ed. Is there something like that to get a dog to do something where you're like, I know this will work?
Well, we teach them all to go to a mark. So all actors in some capacity have a piece of tape where the lighting picks them up and the camera, etc., so that we know that they're going to be in frame. So they all know that trick.
Yeah.
It's a very core behavior. I think a lot of well, not a lot, but some behaviors stem from teaching them to shake a paw, and that turns into wave, and then we can get them to wipe their face. Like, there's so many things that can be brought from some very basic things. So shake a paw is one. Teaching them bang and roll over, it keeps them, in a lie down position, and then we can add things to very core behaviors. So I hope that's a clear enough answer.
No, it is.
Yeah,
it is
a broad question.
Yeah.
Do you notice when you're on set? Do you notice that the director working with the human actors? Do you notice things that where you think that's similar to the trick that I use on these animals? Like, do you ever notice things that directors do with humans that you're like, oh, that's how they got them to do it that way? Just because it feels like there is some corollary.
Yeah.
Possibly. Yeah, it depends on the age of the actor we're talking about, perhaps.
Right.
Sure.
And maybe what kind of action they're doing. So it's very similar to what we're asking the dogs to do as well. And these are puppies we're working with. So they're going to do their own thing, whether we've trained it or not.
Yeah.
And sometimes the director would say, just let that go and we'll see what transpires. And then we get a great blooper reel from all that. So benefits for all the things that they did.
Are you a dog exclusive trainer, or are there other animals that you will work with too?
So I have trained a few other animals. I've worked alongside some wolf trainers and trained a wolf pack. I've trained rats and mice, and
I imagine Willard, I imagine, were the rats.
Yeah. Yeah, and Stephen King's Kingdom Hospital.
Oh yeah.
Very short-lived, amazing show. I loved it. But
I remember that.
It didn't carry on. So there were some rats in that because it was a spooky hospital.
Sure.
So some cats.
Yeah.
Some cats, hamsters, guinea pigs, turtles, birds. Birds aren't my specialty, so I usually bring somebody else in for that. Usually it's dogs. That's who I feel the most comfortable with because I know them the best. I've been working with them for a long time.
Yeah. Are there? Go ahead, George.
Are there? Well, in Spooky Buddies, there's an owl as well. So there'd be, I assume, a separate person who was in charge of working with the, like, as I would assume the bird discipline would be very different than the discipline you'd use with to train a dog.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and they have really sharp beaks, which I'm not a fan of. They're unpredictable. I just, birds are, sorry.
Do you say separate from the other trainers, or is there a camaraderie when you see you're the owl person, I'm the puppy person? Is there a rivalry or a respect, or what's the dynamic like?
Definitely respect and all friends in my books, for sure. I know all the trainers that work on a lot of films, and especially all the Air Buddies films. we start to get to know what will be asked of us and the puppies.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely the owls and monkeys that were on other shows where we know each other very well, and there's always a respect. Yeah.
Georgina, sorry for my absence. I was preparing my Budweisers and hot dogs. Patrick, would you mind leaving the stream for a moment? I've been listening to the conversation while I was on. Georgina, we need your help, Georgina. Okay? I heard you talking about how you helped train rats on the set of Willard and Animal Hospital. Now, Patrick, our producer, who you've been speaking to, our viewers like to call him Pat the Rat because he is not trustworthy. And it feels like very often he does not know how to behave on the show. We would like to train him better.
Okay.
So can we bring Patrick back on the stream? And I would like to see if you feel comfortable showing us some of the processes you run through when trying to train a rat to see if any of them work for Patrick. Okay, so just Georgina, treat him like a
lying
rat.
back in a classic rodent pose, rubbing his face. Is that typical of a? Is that a typical rodent pose?
Kind of the real natural behaviors that we want animals to do. Sometimes those are the hardest things to train, like getting them to groom themselves on command. Look at that! But they do.
This is this is what's tricky, Georgina, is that you're talking.
Mimic us.
But here's the problem. The problem is he's supposed to be a producer first and foremost.
Okay, yeah.
We don't want him to be a show rat. We want him to be on the ball. You know, so how do we train him to have certain kind of functional, operational behaviors?
Wow. What's your motivation, Patrick?
That's a great question. I've been asking myself this entire pandemic. My motivation is here's the real answer. My motivation is to make this the best dang show that I can. Oh boy, that's my motivation is that I'm trying to be happy, trying to have fun. I'm trying to make sure everyone else has fun, and also I like napping and snacking.
He loves to nap and to snack.
Is that typical of a tiny rat that they like to take little naps and they like to eat little snacks?
Sure. Yeah. Don't we all? I think we all do.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
So that's his want in this scene is to nap and snack.
Yeah.
But the conflict of the story, the arc at large, is that he needs to produce the show. That is what is driving the character of Pat the Rat.
Yeah. It's a important thing. You've got drive, so we'll harness that and get you through some agility courses for rats, perhaps.
Okay. How would
Georgina, do not hesitate to walk us through those agility courses. Patrick is willing to do those agility courses live on camera right now.
Oh no.
He is. He promised me he would do them.
Yeah, I'll do whatever you want. You tell me what to do, I'll do it.
Let me think on that.
Here's a question. Say you have an animal and they're like, this animal needs to be asleep in this scene. How do you get that animal to either act like it's asleep, or do you just tucker him out until he falls asleep? What is the move there?
Good question. That's well, we can train it. We can actually teach them to lie down and close their eyes.
Sure.
However, the set needs to be quite calm and quiet, like it normally needs to be for lots of filming with animals, because they're very distracted sometimes, especially puppies. And to get the sleeping scenes, we do them at the end of the day, and we just tire them out typically, because it's a very challenging behavior to train for them to go to sleep and close their eyes and keep them closed. So it's a bit challenging sometimes.
Yeah.
Georgina, do you want to know how we train Patrick to take a nap on this show?
Yeah, for sure.
We tell him to stay awake, and suddenly he falls asleep. We say, you're on the job, you're on the clock, please be responsible. And the next thing you know, the pillow is out.
Gone. They lost me. Yeah. Oh, well. What's been the most difficult thing that you've been asked to do for, to get out of an animal?
One thing I remember was teaching a dog to roll upside down in a puddle.
Oh wow!
And it was a muddy puddle at that. So we trained them to do like a roll and a kind of a, I call it a happy dance on their back where they're doing that.
Sure.
But to have him do it at night in a cold puddle that was muddy, it was challenging. It was very it was challenging for the dog. I think it was challenging for me to ask that of the dog. And with any dog that we have on set, they are we don't just have one dog. We have 3 backups for that one action. So the dog that I was trying to get to do it didn't really feel like he could do it that night. He was the best one at it, but then he didn't want to do it on the day when we were filming. So we switched him out for another doggy who would do it. So sometimes that's what we have to do, and that's okay as long as we get everything. Everything shot and filmed.
I'll say this: we're at 9,480 right now.
Amazing.
If we get to 9,750,
let's do 750.
I'll roll around on the ground like that dog in the puddle. I'll do that.
I believe I owe on that. If we look at the amount, right, we've passed.
Yeah, George gets a little foxy, is what we.
That's great.
Yeah, there's
George. Wait, hold on. We need to unpack this. George, the stretch goal was George gets a little foxy. You just put a red necktie on.
What is that? What's a foxtail, George?
It's a foxtail.
It's a fantastic Mr. Foxtail.
So wait a second. This is a fundraiser where we're watching all of the Air Buddies films, and George is currently wearing a Life Aquatic promotional hat and a fantastic Mr. Fox promotional necktie. He is decked out in more Wes Anderson regalia than the franchise we are watching right now.
Georgina, I'm sorry you have to see us, paying off all of these stretch goals. Yeah. I also had one that says "Pack That's Warm," which means I got to put a sweatshirt on, guys. Yeah, I got to put a little sweatshirt on.
Okay, now let's go full screen on this sweatshirt. Step closer to the camera.
This is a sweatshirt Bring the Noise made for me. This is me with all the things that I like. Naps, Snacks, George, Watto, Julie, my mother, bumpers, Muppets, Star Wars, 1600 pen, Arliss, Vlad, and guest number 2. It's a great sweatshirt, and I'm so happy that I have it.
This is my stretch goal. It's a hot dog with 2 buns. Now,
yes,
I have to say, I was getting jealous when you were just talking about, Georgina, how when you train the dogs, if a dog isn't able to do the gag on the day, you have a backup dog that you can swap out. We don't have that luxury here on the George Lucas talk show. We're a very bootstrappy operation, and if Patrick is busy taking a nap or eating a snack, we don't have a backup producer who is trained to know how to do it. Your job is essentially, everything you have to do times 2. Is that correct?
At least. Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. Always good to have a backup to the backup to the backup.
Wow.
And maybe even backup to that.
Now, I'm curious, what is the biggest ask a production has ever thrown at you in terms of an animal performer? The most sort of difficult thing they've ever asked you to train an animal to do?
I guess rolling. She said rolling on the back in the puddle.
That was hard. Yeah.
That's number 1?
Yeah.
I think writers and directors in the moment, they know what an animal's capable of, and they have that cap of what is realistic and what is a dream, and then what can we CGI in. So meld that together, and they go with that. And sometimes just even walking, one of the big challenges, it's going to sound so simple, is having a dog walk towards the screen and stop without a designated mark there. So it's just teaching them to walk slowly and stop. So I think I like doing that. Sometimes it's challenging depending on the dog's energy level in that moment. And
how do you if you want a dog to go, how do you do that?
Oh, that.
Yeah.
You say something, make a noise like.
Yeah, like if you're working on the Gary Marshall movie and they have to cut to the dog and have the dog go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes, well, it depends on the dog. Some dogs will go frisbee. You know, you say the word frisbee, and they'll turn their head, or would you like a cookie?
Georgina, do you have a favorite fictional dog?
Good question. I've always liked Marmaduke.
And you worked on Marmaduke.
I worked on that. It was a dream come true.
Yes.
The Duke.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to talk to Owen Wilson?
A little bit, but not much. No, he was very busy, and yeah, sometimes when the animals are filming, it's not always A-list along with them.
Sure. I just didn't know if sometimes the actors might be curious, you know, as part of their research to find, you know, to talk to the trainer and get some insight.
Yeah. Well, on 101 Dalmatians, I did get to know Glenn Close a little bit, Jeff Daniels, Julie Richardson, Hugh Laurie was around quite a bit with the dogs. So, you know, the draw of the animals definitely gets them out and saying hi, which they're all lovely people.
Georgina, I don't want you to think that the George Lucas talk show engages in gotcha journalism, but I have a hard-hitting question I must ask. You have outed yourself as a big fan of Marmaduke, and yet also someone who worked on the Marmaduke movie. Now, there is a slight conflict here, because as a fan of the classic comic strips, Marmaduke never had an interior monologue. Marmaduke was a force of nature.
There's there's still Marmaduke every day in your local newspaper. Correct, that's true. I'm saying classically. Yes.
Yeah, Marmaduke is a force of nature. He is a dilemma for his human owners, but you don't know what Marmaduke is thinking. And then as Patrick outlined, of course, in the Marmaduke movie, Owen Wilson is Marmaduke. Marmaduke talks. He's a California surfer dog. He tells the audience what he's thinking. Did you feel conflicted on set? Are they betraying the fundamental tenets of Marmaduke as a character by letting us know what's going on up here?
I think it's all artistic discretion and making it fun for the people at home to see.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
That's what we were hoping for.
You passed the test. You passed the test.
Yay.
Now this movie that we're watching right now is wrapping up. Are there any lasting parting words you want to give to the Buddies franchise? What, you know, favorite memories, or like the thing that you want to impart upon the world when you think about this movie?
Well,
these movies, I should say.
That's it's
a big question.
It is. It's a big question. I would like more movies to come back.
Yeah.
Get to the bit writing.
Yeah.
And I know I feel like there was something in the works a couple of years ago, but I'm not sure.
Okay. All right.
What film that was? I wasn't involved. I was doing another project at that time.
Sure.
I think that they're really cute, wholesome movies, and they've got some good core values in there. And you know, another film. Bring it on.
Has it ever occurred to you? Have you ever had an idea for a Buddies movie? Like, oh, I wish they'd do a Buddies movie that was like blank Buddies, or you know, like, has there any that have occurred to you that you think I just wish they would?
Yeah, we were always hoping for Beach Buddies.
Beach Buddies.
So we could go to Hawaii or Tahiti or something.
Right.
And that's what we were hoping for.
Now I think they got that out of their way because they did a monkey movie.
Yes.
I believe in Jamaica is what.
But that doesn't count. We still need Beach Buddies. Don't act like that has scratched the itch. We need the Beach Buddies.
Listen, I understand. I'm just saying the production might just be like, listen, we did the beach. We can't do, you know. Yeah. But I agree with you. Right. I agree with you. It should happen.
I mean, there's no reason. I know people say, oh, I don't want to see COVID reflected in my entertainment. But I think if they came out with Pandemic Buddies, you could see the buddies like behaving responsibly, like they're little rascals, but they know their owners want them to stay safe.
Yeah.
We're talking, George, are you pitching little buddies?
What?
Little buddies, like Little Rascals, little buddies.
Little buddies, yeah. Little buddies.
Yeah. Georgina, thank you so much for coming on. This was really fun because we've been talking to actors all day, so it's been a nice to get a behind the camera viewpoint of it.
Anytime.
Yeah. Stay safe.
Bye,
Thank you guys.
Georgina.
All the best.
Hold on, I just had an idea. Okay,
Yeah.
and I think the rest of I think I'm hitting a point now where we're gonna start pitching new buddies ideas and getting them out.
We have to.
I have an A-list idea for a buddies film.
A-list.
An A-list an idea for like this is it's because like right now like I had never seen the buddies films before, and I'm seeing them now, and but I feel like the buddies movies might be like the Mission Impossible franchise. They have the potential to be the Mission Impossible franchise where the later entries are actually the stronger entries.
And they start to unify. They bring the mythology together.
And some people don't even some people didn't see the first 3 Mission Impossible movies are coming in at Ghost Protocol. They're coming in later on. Listen to this idea. And this one has some star power, so you're gonna have to pay up front, but it's someone who was already got connections within the Disney world and would be agreeable to be part of a cinematic universe. Red Buddies. The buddies are all the puppies that belong to Paul Rudd, who will be playing himself. And the movie is just Paul Rudd and a bunch of buddies and the trouble they get into.
George, I have to be very honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you said red buddies. I thought you were pitching Red Tails, but with the dogs of the Tuskegee Airmen. I thought that was your pitch. It was all the Tuskegee Airmen have a little dog sitting next to them. We never saw them before. That's the movie.
That's all great, but the fact of the matter is you're never going to get a sequel to Red Tails greenlit. It didn't do well enough.
No. But Red Buddies.
Red Buddies, that movie is a guaranteed win. I also do like your idea of Red Buddies, which is just the Tuskegee Airmen are helped by tiny pooches.
But let's get there. Let's get the franchise back up on solid footing. Right?
I think I have Red Buddies in my back pocket after Red Buddies does so well. They say, "What's next?" I say, "Well, you're probably not interested." No.
Right. It's like Jason Segel comes into a general meeting with Disney and they said, "What are you interested in?" He said, "I want to reboot the Muppets." Right? Rudd comes in, they go, "What do you want to do?" He goes, "I'd like to reboot Buddies." So then you do Rudd Buddies, you do Beach Buddies, you do Deadhead Buddies, and then the floor is set for Red Buddies.
Yeah, but then also you bring up another great point. You bring Jason Segel in, you have Muppet Buddies.
Yeah.
Muppet Buddies. Muppets.
Hey, George, Otto, let's get started on Treasure Buddies because this one's slightly over 90 minutes. So I just want to get it. I want to get it going. And we have another guest. It's an epic. This one's an epic. Yeah. We have another guest in the waiting room. Okay. And I want to know if the guest can, I don't know because I know they're working on an iPad. If the private chat works, if they can type how they want to be introduced. If it doesn't work, give me a thumbs down. That's all I need. All right. We got thumbs down. So when George comes back, I'll bring our new guest in.
Yeah. And because we should mention, look, we've gone through Air Buddies.
Yeah.
Snow Buddies.
Yes.
Space Buddies.
Yes.
Spooky Buddies.
Yes.
Santa Buddies, Spooky Buddies. Sorry, that's the 5 we've gone through.
Yes.
The 6th film now, Treasure Buddies, is the one that is most overtly an homage to the works of George Lucas.
It's true.
Space Buddies is not Star Buddies. It's more of a right stuff riff.
Yeah.
Treasure Buddies is an Indiana Jones riff.
Yeah. Watto, I'm gonna bring in the guest while George is not here. We'll see how he wants to be introduced, and then we'll have you introduce him, okay?
Okay. Does he know the rules? Does he know how the introductions happen?
Well, we're gonna bring him in and he's gonna say the introduction, okay?
Okay, fine.
Richard.
Yes.
Richard.
How would you like Watto to introduce you?
You're not on the show yet. Everyone can see and hear you, but this doesn't count because I haven't introduced you yet. I'm like the Ed McMahon of this show. So tell me how you want to be introduced. I will say it, and then we'll bring you on for real.
I have no preference.
Great. That's it. That's perfect.
Okay. Folks, Grogu's and Gragas, he has no preference. Please welcome to the George Lucas Talk Show, Richard Riehle!
Hey!
All right, Richard, we're gonna press play, and then we're gonna chat about this movie and about everything else. So George and Watto, you let me know when you're good.
I'm ready. Whenever you're
Ready?
ready.
All right, let's press play in 1, 2, 3. Richard, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
You've come up in discussion many times already today.
Sure, my goodness.
Many of your coworkers, your friends, Diedrich Bader were speaking so highly of you. You worked with so many of the people we've already talked with today outside of the buddy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. How did you get involved in this movie? Do you remember? I know you've worked on so many things, so you might not remember, and that's okay.
No, actually I do. Robert Vince, who produced all of these and directed most of them, was casting Santa Paws, and I came in and I read for him and met him, and he ended up going with George Wendt, which is great. But then he called me back about a couple of years later when they were going to do Search for Santa Paws, and he wanted a younger Santa, is what he told me. And so he said, "Would you be interested in doing it?" I said, "Sure." So I did Search for Santa Paws. And then a couple of years later, when he was doing Treasure Buddies, he said, "This is very different. Do you think you can be somebody that they won't recognize as Santa Claus?" And I said, "Well, try." And that's how I got involved in the Treasure Buddies.
That's great. That's great. Where did you guys film this? Do you remember?
Yeah, in Vancouver.
Oh, that was in Vancouver too.
That was in Vancouver too. Well, yeah. Since then, Robert's been producing in Victoria. But this one was in it used to be an old hippodrome about, I don't know, maybe 25 miles outside of Vancouver.
Wow. Someone in the chat, I do want to bring this up because it made me laugh. Someone in the chat said, "I tried to open Richard's page on IMDb and my computer exploded because there were too many credits."
I don't put them in there. I have no idea how they get there. I haven't even seen them, so I don't know.
Are there any things that like people come up to you and say, "Hey, I loved you in this," and you're like, "I don't remember doing that"? Does that happen?
Sometimes, because sometimes they change the names.
Sure.
And I don't know what. And then I said, "Well, what was that? Do you remember what that was about, or what I played?" And then when they tell me that, then I can usually kind of figure out what it was.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Richard, you work so often. When was the last time that you worried that next gig wasn't going to come along? Because that's the classic actor's fear. And I'm anticipating you'll say that fear never goes away, but I'd like to think that at some point you would feel some sense of security.
No, usually when the day we wrap the movie that the project that I'm just doing is when I worry if I'm ever going to work again.
But you still feel that even after hundreds and hundreds of credits.
Absolutely,
you still have the dread will never go away. Then you're telling me.
I don't think so. I mean, I still have auditions. I mean, people don't call me up and offer me roles. Usually, I still have to go have to audition, and I that's fine. I don't mind that at all.
Right.
And I enjoy the process, but every one is an adventure.
Wow, that's interesting to hear. What was it like working with Scorsese?
Well, it was amazing.
That's
a very strange story because I got a call. Could I get on a plane to Las Vegas that morning? And I said, I guess so. And so I went to the airport. They said there'll be a ticket and sides. Learn the sides. There may be other actors on the plane. Yeah. And so I got on the plane. There was only one other actor, a fellow that I actually knew from Minnesota. And we chatted and we got there, and they took us into Scorsese's trailer, and we started reading the scenes. And then they said, okay, why don't you guys go to lunch? We'll have a little discussion. And then I got a knock on the door, and they said, would you be willing to trim your mustache? I said, yeah, sure. And they said, okay, say goodbye to Clive, and we got to take you to fitting. And as it turned out, they had already cast the actor for that role, and he had already shot for a day-ish, I guess. Mm-hmm. And they had taken him back to the hotel, and when they came to pick him up the next day, he had disappeared, and nobody knew where he was.
Oh, wow.
And they had to be out of the house by the end of the month, and so they needed somebody immediately to start doing it. And I had just done a film about a year before with Joe Pesci, and so I said to Joe, I said, I know that I didn't get this on my reading. You know, you must have put in a good word for me. He says, yeah, well, don't F it up, buddy. You know. But working with him was an amazing process of working. But what was so interesting was, in the end, they were all there to make the best possible movie. And you know, and they all put on their trousers one leg at a time. You know, it's really as frightening as it was in some ways, or as tension-filled as it was in some ways, working with these people. We very quickly, you understood we were all trying to do the same thing.
Yeah. You're on screen right now with Edward Herrmann, which is cool. I think this is one of his last roles. Do you remember working with him at all? I don't know if you guys actually.
Oh, I certainly do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, it was amazing working with Ed. He was absolutely terrific.
Yeah.
And we had long discussions mainly about theater, because he was a New Yorker for most of his life.
Yeah.
But he couldn't have been a more incredible guy to work with, and was always doing little, adding little things that made the scenes much better always.
Yeah, that's great. You were actually every month we do a marathon of either a TV show that we don't think got enough attention or needs to be, revisited culturally. And I just remembered that you're in an episode of our November show, which was on the air, the David Lynch, Mark Frost show.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember anything from that? You played, you played
Dr. Winky.
Dr. Winky.
Yeah, Dr. Winky.
Yeah, it was incredible. When I first arrived in Los Angeles, several friends of mine were here already, and they were working on Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And so they took me to the set. I met the people, there, but I never had, there never was any interest in bringing me onto that show.
Sure.
But then when they decided to do this comedy, it was, I got a call from one of them who said, why don't you come in and meet, with David and the people, and we think this will be right for you. And Dr. Winky was one of the writer's nicknames, and that's how I ended up with that name.
Wow.
And then the first fitting, it was all about how long the beard was going to be.
Yes.
But it was such a fun show to be on. Things came from every direction. You never knew what exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw a couple different things at you here, just because I feel like there's so many iconic roles and scenes. I think one of the great, I think, movie action scenes, just in terms of suspense and the level, is the classic train on the prison bus on the train track in The Fugitive.
Yes.
And you are a character who we as an audience instantly loathe, because in a very small amount of screen time, your character abandons the prisoners when Dr. Richard Kimball, played by Harrison, is saying, help me rescue them, and you immediately jump out of the bus and leave them to die. And then you tell another story. Then we see you lying to the press about your story, and you're you were humiliated so quickly. And then that, of course, was, you know, a Best Picture winner. What was it like to be part? Because that was fairly early in your career that you were part of this big Best Picture nominated film.
Yeah, it was, you know, it was an experience I had never thought to have. The nice thing about it was that Andrew Davis, the director from Chicago, really made it a family. You know, made us feel like we were a family. And he and Harrison had made an arrangement. Harrison agreed to do the role if they could shoot it in sequence, because he didn't want to have to keep going back and forth.
Right.
And actually, it works perfectly, because Kimmel never goes back to the place that he's been before. He just keeps moving forward. And so we started working, and so because of that, hadn't met Tommy Lee Jones at all. We had done, all the stuff had been with Harrison, and he was great. It took 2 tries to get the bus rolled down the hill onto the track. The first time it got stuck like halfway down, and then they had to roll on the second bus. And so it was, the bus was mashed to pieces, and you had to kind of crawl in each time. And Harrison was in there right from the beginning. Every night he was in the first group getting in. He was behind the camera every shot. He couldn't have been, you know, more involved in every scene. And so then all of a sudden, you know, there was the night of the wreck. Everything had built up to that, and of course, none of us were in there. Although there was actually a stunt man who actually jumped from the train when it was hit. They had from the bus when it was hit. They had put a siding onto this actual railroad tracks, and we could see the train coming in all the scenes as we were preparing, but we hoped it was going to stop before it got to us. And he actually did the jump, did the stunt, because Andy wanted everything to be real. Didn't want to do any CGI. Well, they didn't have CGI then, but didn't want to do any fake stuff. And so they had 16 cameras shooting it, and one of the cameras got broken, but they were able to salvage the film, and they were able to use bits of all of that to make it, you know, really an exciting moment. So the next night we got down there, and they had set things up for Tommy and his group to come, and where Harrison was very quiet all the time, you know, just preparing and getting ready. Tommy wanted everybody to be part of the process all the time, and that was really exciting. And of course, his speech about you know, want every outhouse,
doghouse, treehouse.
Yeah, that was he had lived that essentially.
Wow.
You know, Andy said we need something here to, you know, to get everybody off, and he said, well, blah, 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 and they said, yeah, it's great, let's do that. Right. And but yeah, it couldn't have been a more exciting experience to be part of.
I don't know if you guys know this, George, Watto, Richard, everybody. Did you guys know that the train and the bus are still there?
Are they still there?
They're still in North Carolina in the spot.
Yeah. Well, the train is, because the train still runs. It was
no, but the wreck of the train and the bus are still in North Carolina.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, they've kept it as a landmark, Richard.
Yeah, it's very cool.
You know, for the longest time, Cross Creek from Fried Green Tomatoes was there, and that was not built to last.
Right. Yeah. Now it's interesting because when you were working with Harrison, he had the beard, because as you said, they filmed it in sequence, so he could have the big beard and then shave it and go through all the changes.
Wow.
And around that same time, we were doing the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles television show, which was Indiana Jones as a small child and as a teenager. And we filmed a thing. Harrison, as a favor, agreed to reprise his role as Indiana Jones for a wraparound, for like a framing device for one of the episodes. But of course, at the time, he couldn't shave his fugitive beard. I think, Patrick, you'll bring up a photo of it. So we had, just because of the fugitive, there's this brief period in the Indiana Jones saga where he has his Richard Kimball. He's growing, I believe, his Richard Kimball beard.
Right.
Yeah,
he's mid-grow.
Yeah.
and he has a saxophone. That was from Young Indiana Jones and the Mystery of the Blues. Another. Sorry, you go, Watto.
No, you go, George.
Another real favorite film of mine that you're in is Gary Sinise's Of Mice and Men.
Wow, yeah.
Which is, I think, an extraordinary film. If people haven't seen it, it's him and John Malkovich. What was that? They had done that as a play at Steppenwolf, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
What was I assume it was not that many people, or it's not a huge cast. What was it like working on that film?
Well, it was wonderful. Gary's plan was he got that contract. I can't remember what it's called, but he kind of owns everybody for 13 weeks. Where if you work less than that, if they let you go, you still get paid for 13 weeks. But they can keep it at a time. And so he scheduled it that they would for a week of rehearsal at the beginning. So we went up to San Ynez where the ranch was, and rehearsed it as a play. And Horton Foote was there as well, and Gary and Horton had done the adaptation, and it was wonderful because almost everyone in the cast came from theatrical background, and so it was like doing a play. By the end of the week of rehearsal, we could probably have done it as a play, but it meant whenever we went into any locations, we knew everything, about what happened before, what happened afterwards, and got to do it.
Yeah.
And then their main idea was that, or the not twist, but the slant they wanted to take on it was that how strange it was for two guys to be going together, traveling together from one migrant job to another. Everybody else was by themselves, had nobody else with them. And so they wrote little backstories, tiny little backstories about each of the characters. And one of them got a letter from his sister that said their mother had died, and the letter was 3 years old. And things like, it was just wonderful stuff like that. And it was great. And again, where the way the scenes work, he could easily have shot out people and lost them, but he made sure that the bunkhouse gang worked at least 3 days every week, and so that we kind of kept that camaraderie going among us, even if some of them went back to LA in between. And after each day of shooting, he invited everybody to watch the dailies. And this is back at the time of film. So the dailies were stuff we'd shot 2 or 3 days before that were finally coming out. And it wasn't so much to see our work or to see the work being done. It was again a camaraderie thing. He'd put out some beer and some sandwiches, and everybody would just be a dinner with the dailies going on in the background. And it was an amazing experience. A great group of guys, and we just had a terrific time. There was one day of shooting that we lost though. We shot because it was on location. We shot 6-day weeks, Monday through Saturday, and so we got out there at 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday to start shooting, and noticed there were a lot of helicopters and small planes already at 6 in the morning. And we were hoping they were just coming in for something and they were going to leave. No, they were the paparazzi that were there to cover the Liz Taylor wedding that was at Michael Jackson's ranch.
Yeah.
Was that the David Guest wedding?
Yeah. That would have been.
What a kiss, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that's Liza Minnelli, right? Wait. Am I getting it confused?
No,
yes.
No, it was Liz Taylor and Larry Fartensky.
Yes. Sorry. Yes, that's correct.
Too many names.
Richard, too many names. Richard, this is my question for you. You've had one of those just deeply enviable careers, as George said, where you've just for decades worked in every genre. You've worked in prestige movies and blockbusters and cult films and everything. I'm curious, are there films where you are surprised at the legacy they have? I mean, we're here doing a live stream about the Treasure Buddies, but like aside from the obvious things, right? Like, you know, Mice and Men and Fugitive and Office Space, the things that people obviously know you for, among many other credits, Fried Green Tomatoes, what have you. Are there things where you're surprised? I can't believe that's lasted. I can't believe people come up to me and say that one.
Well, when I was doing Grounded for Life, I had the summer off, and so I was fortunate enough to get a play back in New York, and so I went back to do that, and because Grounded for Life was on TV every night, and because Office Space had come out, I think just a year earlier or less. It was just, I think it was just moving into Comedy Central or something. It was suddenly people that were more aware of it. I would get the sense that people don't stop you much in New York, you know, but you overhear that they're not afraid to talk out loud to each other about who they see, you know, on the subway or whatever. And so for a week, I did a very non-scientific survey about what people might recognize me from. Yeah. And at that point, Office Space was the big one. I think it was about 50% was Office Space, about 20% was Grounded for Life, about 10% was the play I was doing. Surprisingly, some people had seen it or had seen ads for it, and then the final 20%, 10% was whatever was on late night pre-cable that week, and the other 10% was they thought that I had been a teacher of theirs at some point, or worked in a store that they frequented.
Yeah. I mean, Office Space is such a fascinating phenomenon in so many ways because it was sort of underappreciated and underperformed when it came out, but the cult built around it so fast, as you said. Like a year later, it was already being reappreciated, and it's had so much cultural stickiness. And you have all these moments. I mean, you have this character that sort of like is the tent poles at the key points of the film, where you have your sort of what the hell is wrong with you people. There's you in the neck brace with the I've never been doing better kind of thing, and jump to conclusions. I mean, you have these really pivotal moments in the film. When you were making it, did you feel like this is good? You know, when it underperformed, were you surprised, or were you more surprised when later people caught on?
Probably more surprised when later, but we had such a great time doing it. Mike spent a pretty long time casting it. I went in 3 times. First time I went in, I read for Tom Smokowski and for the psychiatrist, and then the next 2 times I read just Tom. He had me just Tom, and and so when he finally got the cast he wanted, he got in contact with us all and said, "Okay, we're going to go down to Austin. It's my hometown. I played there with my band. We aren't going to have suits looking over our shoulders telling us what to do. We're going to work hard, but we're going to play hard too. And I'll take you to good places to eat and drink and blah, blah, blah." And that's exactly what it was like. He couldn't have been a better host. And he had put together a cast that he felt would really enjoy each other and like to spend time together. And so we did. I mean, we had a great time shooting it. It was nuts. And of course, Mike did his role the first day, so to kind of give us a sense of what he was trying to go for, and that was very helpful as well. Now the second day of shooting was the party, and they had me in the wheelchair and
so that your first scene as the character was the end of your arc.
Not quite. Actually, the very first thing we did that day was the truck hitting my car as I'm backing out. Sure. And this was they had an idea how they wanted to do it, but they weren't quite sure. So I would back the car out, and they would say, nope, that's not going to work. Come back in. And I think about the 6th or 7th time, and it had something to do with the little tree in the background, whether it was moving or not.
Oh,
And so the 7th time I got out there, and they said, "Good, turn off the car." And I said, "Okay." They said, "Okay, now you need to get out." And they had a dummy that looked like me, and they put the dummy in the front seat. And then this was a one-shotter. I mean, a one-chancer, and everything had to go at once. They pressed the garage door going down, and the guy coming at with the truck at a certain speed, and and everything, and it was amazing how it worked, and it did. And in fact, the next day, Mike brought me into his trailer and showed me on the well, here we go.
There it is. And boom, there it is.
Wow. Yeah. It's so perfectly timed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he showed me on the Moviola, and he stopped it and went frame by frame, and you cannot see where the stop is. And I was just in awe. But then they said, "Okay, now we need to get you into the wheelchair." And so they didn't have it wasn't a big budget movie, and they didn't have a big effects group. So they had hired an off-duty EMT to come and put me in it. And so he actually was doing all the stuff. I mean, the point was I couldn't get in or out of it for the next 7 hours. And then he had to go back to work. So he left a cast cutter there, and one of the PAs eventually cut me out of the cast.
Oh.
But every day there was some adventure like that every day. There was one day, the opening scene where we're coming across Ajay is coming across the parking lot, and then he meets with us, and then we walk down the street, and then we go through the hedge and up to that was shot in 4 different locations, one of which was Dallas. For one day, we flew to Dallas because there was a unfinished piece of freeway freeway that Mike wanted for a background. And so he needed to get enough scenes that he could shoot there to make it worthwhile to make that trip. So we shot Ajay coming across the parking lot there in Dallas. And then we shot at another space walking down next to this hedge. Then we had another space where you go through the hedge. Then a different place that we went up and down the hill. And then finally to Initech. And it was like that. And like when the 2 Bobs came, I was the guinea pig. And so I was the first one they did the interrogation with, and they're both big improv guys, and they're great. And so they said, "Listen, can we improv this a little?" And Mike said, "Well, sure." And so for about maybe half an hour, they kind of went through all sorts of stuff, and I was biting the inside of my cheek, trying not to laugh and be able to respond to them. And then Mike said, "Okay, that was great. Now let's do it as written." And that's what we ended up doing. But there was a sense of, they had created this, their relationship. Plus he got an idea. We all got an idea what that was about, and then he knew how to do that for all the future ones. And it was every day was like that, experimenting like that. It was great.
That's cool. I mean, and it was also a reunion for you because Ferris Bueller TV show, you're in it with Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
You were Principal Rooney in the Ferris Bueller TV show.
Yeah,
I was indeed.
So it all comes full circle.
I love it. Well, and of course, but that was amazing too. And she was so, I obviously we don't go in the same circles. But, every time I've run into her, she's been just, "Oh, how are you?" It was amazing. She was the most, she was like 17 or 18 then, and she was the most talented, comedian even then, and it was wonderful to work with her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who is there anyone that I've asked this a few times today? Is there anyone that you've worked with that you were very intimidated by, either before working with them or even after working with them, you were still intimidated by them?
I think right, either intimidated by reputation or intimidated once you were watching them work.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm always trying to be the fly on the wall. You know, I can't remember who it was. Oh shoot! Some actor when I was first starting out said, "Stay near the camera." You know, even you know, don't go off someplace and hang around the craft service or go back. Stay near the camera. It's worth it to see that. And there are a lot of performances that I've seen that that I've learned so much from watching them and from and even watching somebody work and then knowing that the next day I was going to have a scene with them, and it made it that gave me a sense of what what I had to look forward to. But I guess I spent maybe 20 years doing theater before I really got into film and TV, and I guess that maybe has made me less intimidated by people like I said about Scorsese and De Niro and Pesci and Sharon in that scene. You know, we're all doing the same thing, and we're all trying to get there the same way. You know, some people have greater innate talent and and some or experience or whatever, but the best people always are trying to uplift everybody to their level.
Yeah, that's good thing to keep in mind, I feel like.
Now, Richard, you've done your share of voiceover work as well, and we've been watching these buddies films where half of the actors we're talking to are on camera like you, half of them are doing the voices. This is an on-camera role for you, but you've done a number of voiceover gigs, including The Legend of Korra.
Yes.
And I feel like that series and Avatar: The Last Airbender have had this big resurgence recently. They went up on Netflix. People are stuck at home. You have a generation that grew up with them who are rediscovering it, and you have people who are watching it for the first time. Does that, have you felt the influence of that show? When you were doing it, did it feel like, oh, I'm just doing a voiceover work, or did you understand that this was a thing that people were going to take very seriously?
No, it was interesting. I've done very little voiceover work. The first thing I did was Home on the Range for Disney, and I did the sheriff of that. And they called me in, and once they hired me, they set a date when I come in, and so for about 4 hours I laid down all the tracks for the sheriff, and and I said, oh, and you're all by yourself there, and there's a somebody there with a camera videotaping you, because that's how they do it now, I guess. But mainly you've got the script and the microphone and the people back in the booth, behind there. And so when we finished, they said, that was great. Okay, we got that. And I said, oh, good. So when's this coming out? They said, oh, about 5 years. You'll be back about every 6 months doing pickups and changes and that.
Yeah.
And about the second month, as I was getting ready to redo a bunch of stuff, they brought this young man in, and they said, this is going to be, he's your artist. He is going to be doing your character. And he wanted to watch you, actually see you physically, not just on the videotape.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was, you were by yourself, and you were kind of doing the line, doing several variations of the line, etc. Then with Legend of Korra, it was absolutely different. They try and get as many people as possible into the booth, and they've got all these tiny little carols that they set up, and you obviously can't look and act to the people that you're doing, but you can hear their voices, and you're trying to do the scene, among them, and the energy of having everybody in the booth at the same time is really exciting and really different. Yeah. And then they showed us some of the work, the artwork that the Korean artists were doing, and it was so incredible. I said, this is going to be amazing. And it was, the only disappointment was that they just. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish what you were saying. Sorry.
Well, the only disappointment was that they decided after 4 seasons that it had become too expensive, I guess.
Yeah. I do love, Richard, that your career is so expensive that you say, well, I've done very little voiceover work. But if you just isolate the voiceover work, your career is still larger than most actors in their entire thing. You've done like 6 or 7 big voiceover shows, but you've done so much stuff overall that it's such a small slice.
Yeah.
Well, I've been so fortunate. This is not anything I really expected to do, and it was, I was doing things in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years. I said, well, I'll keep this up, and then until somebody finds out, and says, okay, we've seen enough, get out of here.
Yeah.
Richard, have you ever had the experience of watching television, just unwinding and relaxing, and you're watching a film or a TV show, and then you are surprised to see yourself walk on screen? Has that ever happened to you?
It does occasionally, because I don't remember, all.
Well, and you might, if you have a small role here and a small role there, you're not seeing the whole picture of all the other scenes. So it's quite, I wondered about that, just because it seems like playing the odds. At some point you must have, oh, what's this? And then realizing, oh, this is the thing that I was in.
Yeah.
Usually, I have not seen everything I've done, because
who has that kind of time?
No, none of us live long enough.
Well, yeah, it would probably shorten your life if you were trying to. But I don't have like cable or various things where I can look at them, and I'd like to see them, and I try and see as much as I can. It's been an interesting change, because when I first did stuff that was on film or TV, it was very hard to watch, and mainly it was because I would see all the mistakes that I had made, and say, oh, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I try and do that? And then I would lose track of the story of the movie, of what was going on, and so gradually I've gotten to the point where I can watch it and enjoy the movie and separate myself from that. I still see the mistakes I make, but I don't let it get in the way of enjoying the.
I won't ask you to name names, but are there actors that that you are in direct competition with, that you continually are either getting a part that they were also up for, or losing a part and seeing them get the part? Do you have an awareness?
The audition waiting rooms, like we've had other actors today talk about that, where it's like, I know that you're always my competition for this part.
That's absolutely true, and the longer you're in the business, the tighter group it becomes. I think it was the day before they shut everything down, there was an audition for a pilot, and there were 7 of us in the room. We all knew each other. We all had worked together on different things, and we all had constantly been in competition with each other.
Yeah.
And, at that point, it's just it's going to be the luck of the draw. It has nothing to do with. It's going to be what they.
That group, you should get that group of people and remake the 7 Samurai or the Magnificent 7 with the. You should be.
That's the show. Yes. Right. The 7 of you should not be competing for one part. Someone should build a project with 7 parts for all 7 of them.
That would be a great idea.
An Ocean's 11, a Riehl's 11. There you go. That's what.
Yes, there we go.
Right.
Now, Richard, something that we like to talk about on this show is over the last, year or so, a lot of shows and movies have been doing reunions or get-togethers over Zoom. Catching up with the characters and seeing where the characters are nowadays, what they would be doing today. And I want to know, where do you think Bob Bigelow from Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo is in 2021?
Oh. Well, that's very interesting because Bob was supposed to be in Deuce Bigelow 2. And
you mean Deuce?
Yeah, and there's a Deuce Bigelow 2 in Europe.
European Gigolo, yes.
Gigolo. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Rob Schneider had actually called me up, sent me the size, and saying, I'm working with Rick Baker on this. We want you to be we want you to stick your hand up the rear end of a zebra or something. We're going to try and and be stuck there. And then while you're in that position, I'm going to ask you some give me some advice. And he was very excited about it. And then the studio that was making the Deuce Bigelows changed. And so they switched that entirely. And he called me and said,
sure.
Yeah, we aren't going to do that. But yeah.
Sure.
I was going to be, I think I was supposed to be like Siegfried and Roy's veterinarian or something. But
do you think he's happy in 2021? Is he doing okay?
Yeah, how's he doing today?
Yeah. I think he is. I mean, he's by the end of Deuce Bigelow, he's kind of got reacquainted with his son. He's got he's met this lovely girl that Deuce is going to be with. He's been able to give him some really sound advice of what he should do with the rest of his life, and he probably is not going to have to be a bathroom attendant for much longer. So
that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Now, you were in both Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes.
Now in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you were Buffy's original Watcher, which was in the feature film. This was a role played by Donald Sutherland.
Yes.
How had you seen when you played that role? Had you seen the film with Donald Sutherland before playing?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah. I saw it. I saw that when it first came out. So by the time they called me in to audition for the Buffy TV show, I was aware of that. Yeah.
Is that? Do you get people who are fans of that show and that franchise? Do you get people who are in awe of you to see? Because it's only in one episode, but it's such an important part of the story of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, it was very exciting. In fact, I mean, and doing it was incredible too. And of course, Joss was directing the episode as well, which added all sorts of stuff to it. But I think more people recognize me from the comic book than because they actually did that scene in the comic.
Yeah,
and that was exciting for me to have my image in that comic.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Richard, is there? I mean, I know this is a big question, but you've done so much. Are there big sort of dream roles for you? Are there either types of projects, types of characters, or people who are still kind of on your outstanding list of what you would like to do in your career? Are there things in your mind, if you could pick what the next job is, that sort of the itches you have not yet been able to scratch?
Well, yes. There's always that, but mainly it usually comes down to the next project that's the most interesting. there was a point I did a TV movie called Ransom of Red Chief, and during lunch I would often hang out with a lot of with the crew, and one of the head gaffer called me up a couple of years after that. He had moved back to Virginia, and he had written this script, and it was about a preacher who goes crazy, kills his family, and then runs and hides out in the Dismal Swamp in Virginia. And two businessmen go out there for a weekend, and he tries to scare them off, and they won't leave. And so he poisons them. One of them dies, but the other doesn't die. And so he drags them back to his cabin, waiting for somebody to give him the word of what he should do to this guy. And it was a great script, and it was the first script that that was really a kind of a lead role. I mean, this was the guy from beginning to end, and he was crazy. So it opens all sorts of possibilities. And so I went down there and did it. We had a great time shooting it. It did come out, and I saw it. I don't know what it's called anymore. It's one of those where they keep changing the title, but it's probably available. But we had a wonderful framing device where this deaf mute is going to go camping in the Dismal Swamp, and he goes in, and the ranger stops him, and he hands him this card that says, "I'm deaf mute. Can you tell me how to get a blah?" And they give him a map, and he takes off. At the very end, the crazy preacher zips up the guy that's left and throws him into the swamp and says, "Let the swamp decide what to do to him." And then you see what appears to be this deaf mute walking back out from behind, and the ranger recognizes him and waves, and he waves back, and then the camera comes around to the front, and it's the preacher in the deaf mute's outfit. And it was just I liked everything about it, and it was wonderful working with those guys, and it was great. We were working in the Dismal Swamp the whole time. We had snakes, we had everything imaginable, and that was an exciting project to suddenly have become a part of. But they all are. You get a script. They say, "We want you to audition for this role." You start reading the script, and you get very invested in. You really become involved in this character and what this character's role is in terms of telling the story. And you become very you want to do it. And you look forward to doing it, and if you're lucky, you get a chance to do it.
I'm looking through your IMDb trivia now because I was just curious to see what would be on there. Did you audition for Cheers? Is this true?
No, that's not true. Although it's a very interesting side story about that.
Yeah.
No, I never auditioned for Cheers. I've met John a couple of times.
Yeah.
Delightful guy, but that never even came up. And but it turns out that he was a classmate of my cousin's at Sacred Heart University back in Connecticut, in Stamford, Connecticut. Yeah. And they had done a bunch of little Super 8 things when they were students there. And so when John was in England for some reason, I never did get the details of it, and he called up my cousin and said, "Listen, do you still have any of those tapes?" And my cousin said, "Why?" He said, "Well, there's this show, and they want to see some tape, and I don't have anything. Could you send me something or send it to them?" And presumably on the basis of that of one of those Super 8 shorts, he got called in to final audition for Cheers.
Wow. Do you, Patrick? Do you have the figure still?
I'm sorry,
Patrick.
What are you talking about?
The figure.
Oh, yes, I do. Hang on 1 second. Hang on 1 second.
Because, I mean, we're talking about Ratzenberger on Cheers.
Yes.
And Ratzenberger is part of the Buddies franchise as well.
Oh, exactly.
But
Yes.
If I can bring things full,
he's in
a couple of
every one of Robert's films as a voiceover.
Right.
Yeah.
But we can also bring this full circle because there's another big franchise that he's in, Richard.
Oh, yes.
He's in Star Wars.
Look at him. There he is.
That's the John Ratzenberger action figure.
Yes, indeed.
There he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
George.
to my closet.
George put him in the movie.
Yeah.
Now, Richard, have you worked with Mark Hamill?
Yes.
Yeah.
We did something called Wing Commander 4. Yeah. And we shot that over about a month in Hollywood. It happened to be the month that the OJ trial was going on, and so Mark would run between each setup back to his dressing room to watch the trial, and he was also taping it at home, and he was so totally involved in the whole process. But yeah, it was great working with him. I was Pliers. I was the guy that helped him. I made all of the rebel ships work, despite the fact that they were all trying to be ruined by the main. The interesting thing about Wing Commander 4 is that the guy who made it, it was the first video game that was done on film, and so they were following it afterwards, and they discovered that the Mark's buddy, I can't think of what the character's name was anymore. That the players didn't like him, and so once they had gotten all the way through the game, then they'd go back and play it again and purposefully kill him off.
I'm looking through the cast right now of this game because I wanted to get all the names right, and it's it's Mark Hamill, Malcolm McDowell, John Rhys Davies, Tom Wilson, Francois Chow, Chris Mulkey, Richard, Peter Jason, John Spencer. It's like a who's who of people that you're excited to see when they show up in movies. You know,
it was very exciting. We almost never saw more than one or two of each other at a time.
Yeah.
The sets were half sets. There would be one half would be an actual three-dimensional set. The other half was green screen.
Yeah.
And then you would do each scene. And I wasn't involved in any of the bigger scenes like the trials and that. But they did make me an icon, which was really interesting.
Cool.
So I spent a day just reading A and B answers to each thing. Yeah,
that's really fun. I'm trying to think. I mean, I feel like Griffin asked, what there is left to do, and I'm trying to think of
who.
Oh, my roommate. I was talking to my roommate Griffin earlier. Sorry. But Watto, also, you brought this up on the show. What there is left to do in your career, and I mean, you've done it all, and it's been, it's always really fun seeing you pop up, and we appreciate you coming by today because it's been you're chock full of stories, and I feel like you could stay 6 more hours if we asked you to, but I don't want to make you do that.
Now, Richard, I'm sure you must be familiar with this quote, but even if I'm repeating something that has been forwarded to many times, I think it's worth reading to you, which is what Mark Hamill said about you in an interview just a few years ago. He was talking about Star Wars, the sequel trilogy, working on that, and talking about how what he wanted was to be a character actor, and he never was looking to be a big movie star. The people he looked up to were character actors, and he specifically names you in this interview. He says, "Look at Richard Riehle. He is as solid as it gets, always word perfect. He knows his lines and he knows yours. He's the most incredibly versatile actor those are the people I really admire.
That's wonderful. No, I've never heard that. That's terrific.
Oh, I'm so glad to be able to tell it to you because
Thank you.
if you look, there was a wave of articles where the headlines are all things like Mark Hamill traumatized by Star Wars, and the headline of these articles were all just trying to make a big deal out of how hard it was for him to be Luke Skywalker again. But buried in each of these is him shouting, singing your praises and shouting you out by name, which I think it's a really, Mark's the best. He's so nice and kind.
He is. He is.
But I thought, I'm so glad that since you hadn't heard that before, I'm so glad to be able to share that with you because he said it to everybody.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you, Richard, you're one of those actors for me where whenever you show up in anything, be it the big part, the small part, any type of project, I relax and I lean in. The second you show up, I go, I'm in good hands. I know this is under control, but also I lean in because I want to see what you're about to do next.
Well,
you're always interested.
I feel like who are there people like that for you that you are excited to see in movies, or even growing up, were there people that you liked? Like who are your guys?
Well, there have been a number of actors, for instance, that I've had the good fortune of working with several times. Michael Ironside, Brian Cox, Tony Todd, and every time I see their name on the list, I go, "Oh, this is going to be a good time. This is going to be fun." And it's true. I do, the one thing I do have now that I have an iPad is Netflix, and I look at the cast list, and if there's people that I know or that I like, I will definitely put that in my queue and watch that film, even if though I know nothing about the film.
Yeah, that's good. Richard, I'm gonna let you go because I don't want to keep you all night, but I want you to come back some point because I feel like we're not done yet. We'd love to have you. You're the best. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Very nice to meet you all.
Yeah, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Good. I look forward to it.
All right. We'll see ya.
Bye-bye.
What a class act.
Patrick, do me a favor and forward one of those articles to Richard that has the quote if you can see it, because I'm really happy. I thought, oh, he's probably been forwarded this a million times.
Yeah.
That's really fun to think that that's the first time you heard it.
Watto, I'm really glad you didn't. I'm really glad you didn't say the name of Tony Todd's most famous character, Watto. I'm really glad. Oh, George,
we have five. We have five.
Oh, we have five. I thought we had three. We have five. You're right. All right.
He's not a Mogwai.
Yeah, we don't want to waste them. It's best to keep all five.
George said two. I said one.
And I said another one.
And Watto, if you had said Candyman,
it doesn't matter. First of all, if you say things in between saying them, it resets.
Is that true?
Otherwise, Candyman would be just tallying it up like you said it 5 times.
Restart the show.
Oh no, we have to restart the show. Oh no!
I'm George Lucas, creator of Star Wars. Now, here's the thing. Candyman doesn't spend his life tallying up.
Saying it.
Doesn't. I'm telling you. But no, I'm back to zero now because you have to say it.
You already said it once.
You're at one. You said it one time.
No, I'm back to zero because if you say things in between, it rolls back to zero. Candyman doesn't spend his life tallying up.
Fool.
I have 3 more. And really I have 5 more because it starts over. No, listen, the stories would be told differently. It's always people who say it 5 times in a row and then he arrives.
5 times in a row.
Candyman.
You said it 3 times in a row now.
I gotta pull him. off.
You got to pull him. He said it 3 times in a row.
Stop this.
He's drunk with power.
Oh my God. Like, I can say Candyman once, and you can say it once. Watch.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Is
Just
it
say it once.
cumulative how many times people say it on the stream, or is it each
I don't
person
know.
say it?
Well,
Because Alex, if we're counting it for the stream, the show just restarted. That's the fourth time someone has said it. My question is that your first, or
That's
is
my-
that our fourth? I'm not going to say it. Now, can you make me...
I think it's my first. I think it's my first.
But I think it might be our fourth. I'm not going to... I don't want to risk it. Can you make it full screen? Make me full screen for 1 month. Beetlejuice. Okay, so that's my 2. Now, I've said...
Okay, can I ask a question?
Beetlejuice.
Wait a second.
Can I ask a question?
I've said it 4 times now. Now we're at 4.
Because it resets. Can I ask a question?
I don't know. Can you?
Who can take a sunrise?
Oh no! Oh no!
Wrinkle it with you.
Lotto, should I pull him?
Hold on. I don't know where this is going yet.
That can't.
Pull him!
He's
Pull him!
gone.
Restart the show! Restart the show!
The Candyman can.
No!
Okay, that's 1. Make it full screen for a second. Beetlejuice. Okay, that's 2. So
Beetlejuice.
But wait, are you saying it's everyone gets 3 or the show gets 3?
That's
you guys are playing the same game I'm playing with the Candyman.
Oh, he has 2.
Lotto, I hate to say it. Lotto, I hate to say it. I think we got to restart.
Hello, I'm George Lucas, creator of Star Wars. Can I say one thing without you pulling me?
I hope.
You can say exactly one thing. You better not say 5 things.
Beetlejuice, Candyman, Beetlejuice.
No!
Restart the show.
I'm sorry.
Patrick, come in here. Can
Look,
I just...
He's gone. He's gone.
Yeah,
This
that's
is what
good.
he deserves.
Let's
What?
not put a lampshade on it. I think it's good.
No, but I'm saying maybe that guy got him.
Patrick,
Bees.
remember. Patrick,
What?
remember 8 hours ago when
No.
I messaged you in the private chat and I said you should make a version of the opening crawl that is sped up so that we don't have to waste this much time every time we restart the show. Do you remember that?
Yeah, imagine if I said no.
I know. How fucking happy are you that I... Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. Oh.
Beetlejuice. Okay, that's 2. Don't, Patrick.
I'm not gonna.
Learn nothing from Georgina. Do we have to make you run an endurance course?
Oh, well, let's see if I actually have to do the rolling on the floor thing. Hang on.
Let's look at the spreadsheet because
Well, let me
there are a
update the
couple of
numbers.
things when was I supposed to make my first tweet?
Oh, yeah. Let me update the numbers. Hang on one second.
The first.
Do you have the login info, Watto?
I'm setting up the account. I've already chosen my profile picture. I'm picking the header image now. I'm ready to go whenever you tell me.
Okay, here we are, Watto. We are at $9,700, which means I'm not rolling on the floor yet. What's your first tweet?
Did you not type it in?
No, Watto, that was $6,000 ago.
Oh boy. Okay, then let's say this. Because we forgot it.
Yeah.
That was at 3,250.
Yeah.
You're almost 3 times that. I'm going to do 3. At Watto, though, is about to become active. I will do 3.
I'm excited.
Here's what I want to say.
It better not be one of 2 words, George.
No, it isn't, because I already proved my point. Were you guys scared when I wasn't here when I came back? Were you scared?
No.
Terrified.
I wasn't.
Oh,
hang on, Watto. I have a suggestion that just came through the chat.
What? I'm trying to pick my header image. What?
Can we auction off your first tweet?
No, we can auction off the second.
Okay. We can auction off the second tweet. Let's start the bidding. Let's start the bidding at $10. If you want it in the chat, $10. And then we'll go up from there. You have until 10:40. So you have 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Right. And Watto, can this be anything?
Can this be anything? Yes.
I see $50.
No, it can't be. But Watto, it can't be anything.
I see $50.
Within reason. There is a vetting pass. And if the tweet does not pass muster, we will return your donation.
$100.
This is the second tweet.
$125. I want to get this baby to $300.
Candy person.
That's good, George. That's good. You're growing. $125.
Whoa. The second tweet.
How many times do you need to say the name of Arnold Schwarzenegger's assistant before he appear and give you candy?
The second
130. We're up to 130, Watto.
Because here's the thing: if it was
what?
cumulative, if it was cumulative and it wasn't canceled out by talking in between the words,
hang on.
There'd be a lot of older victims. There'd be a lot of people who, over the course of a lifetime, had said his name out loud. And he's keeping track, and then he would kill the older victims. They'd be like, "What? I didn't do it." He'd be like, "You did. It was over the course of decades, but you did." And now I hook you, and I give you my bees.
You guys got 2 more minutes.
Because my name is Candyman.
I just want to point out, I'm so happy this is raising money for a good cause. This is objectively demented that people are bidding this much for Watto's second tweet.
But it's the sequel tweet, so you're going to wear your hat when you do that tweet.
It's true. I will wear a hat.
We should also say we're hoping that everyone watching will retweet this tweet. And there's 539 of you watching right now. So we're hoping that this will get over 500 retweets.
We want it to go viral.
We want it to go viral. If you want it to really go viral, you put a little hashtag in there. 169. Funny.
Funny.
Someone is saying, oh, okay. I thought someone said over 500, and I thought they were bidding over 500.
Candyman.
All right, we're at 169. We got 1 more minute, so this is your last chance to go to 170. If anybody wants it.
I will say the account is set up. I have the first tweet ready to go.
Okay. All right. We're at 10:40. I'm going to count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 169. Owls Forever Cemetery. DM me on Twitter, and I will pass along the tweet to Watto, and then donate through the link. And guys, if you're watching and want to donate, it's a good time to donate $5, $6, whatever you want, $10, $20, whatever. bit.ly/GLTS buddies. We're pretty close to 10,000, and I'm very happy that we're almost there. I think we can do it, guys.
Here's an interesting fun fact about your new Twitter, Watto. You have a very funny and characteristic bio, and Google offered me the chance to translate it. And you click it. The translation is identical, but it says translated from Filipino by Google.
Mine says tag along. Is that the same? What is tag along?
Are people ready? I have the first tweet.
Yeah, we're ready for that first tweet. Yeah.
Are you ready?
Hang on. Let me.
What are we at? We're past the point where you should have done it. Right?
Oh, we're way past the first tweet.
Great,
we realized we forgot the first tweet when we hit it, so we're now promising 3 tweets, the second of which has been auctioned. So this is 113 followers. I'm seeing 147. It's ticking up by the moment. Are you ready for the first tweet?
Yeah. Hitting refresh. All I'm doing is hitting refresh.
Okay, ready?
You tell me when to refresh.
The first tweet has been ready for the first tweet. It is up.
Is it sent?
It is posted. Refresh. The first tweet. The first. Huge. Wait a second. Go back to that. The tweet has been up for less than a minute. Go back to that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Currently it went from 68 retweets to 70 retweets. Unfortunately, it sped past 69 retweets. We had 74 retweets of the first tweet.
We are almost we're very close to 100 retweets.
We need to get to 1,000 retweets of the first tweet.
Watto, you see my text, Watto?
Let me check the text. Wait a second. Are you talking about the first text?
So I'm waiting for the DM for your second tweet, Watto, and I will tell you.
Okay.
Let's see.
Now I have
I'm fucking. Oh, I'm so conflicted on this.
On what?
I'm so conflicted.
On the second tweet?
Yeah, I just put it in the private chat. No.
Okay. Let me say this.
Yeah.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing?
You can.
Yeah.
I want to say one thing. I've already tweeted it. That was the second tweet. It is out. It has been posted.
Also, you can go ahead and reveal what I texted you, Watto, before I ever saw what the second tweet was.
Here is how I'm going to choose to reveal it. Patrick.
What?
These 2 things happened independently, but they were perfectly in harmony. Patrick, can you refresh and show episode 2, the second tweet?
Please don't do this, guys. Please don't do this.
Now, Patrick, can you go to Watto's account and see the first follow?
What? Oh, no!
At the exact same moment, George texted Watto and said, follow 1610, and then the charity auction winner sent the tweet. They happened at the same moment.
Oh.
Parallel thinking. Second tweet.
And you know what? It's not even joke week.
It's not even joke week, and that's how you know this is very.
It's not even joke week.
The second tweet.
Don't do it, guys. Please don't do it.
The first tweet now has 141 retweets. I want to say we have to hit 1K.
Yeah, retweet the first tweet. Retweet the first tweet, guys.
Listen, retweet. Here's what you should do. You should retweet the first tweet.
It's catching on.
The second tweet. What?
Jesus.
What happened?
No, just that second tweet has already got 54 retweets.
No! 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 I'm working so hard. I'm working so hard. No. No.
It's already up to 69 retweets. This second tweet. Okay, now this is
Watto, can I ask a question?
You can ask any.
How much would I have to donate for you to delete that second tweet?
You're asking me honestly as a friend.
Uh-huh.
$1,000.
Wait, how much because I think that would be, I think that would violate the spirit of the charity auction.
Exactly.
Because to delete that one. But how much for the third tweet to promote Patrick's Twitter?
That's a fair question. So look, the price of deleting the second tweet was $1,000 because it goes against my principles as an artist. I don't believe in censorship. I don't believe in editing your own history. I think you have to own your history. So that's why the price was so high for deleting the second tweet. If what George is suggesting is that the third tweet would be to encourage people to follow Patrick instead, is that what you're saying, George?
Yes.
That would cost $3,000.
$3,000, Watto?
Yes.
I'm gonna quit this show.
That would for ASPCA. You would rather quit this show than give money to ASPCA. What would Whoopi say if she were here right now? You would rather quit than help the animals. Some people would rather buy a latte than help an animal. You would rather quit a job than help an animal. What would...
I'm going to quit this show.
What would
Quittrick no show. Quittrick no show. Quittrick no show.
Quittrick no show.
Well, you know what? What?
I knew he was a rat, but I did not know that he hated all other animals.
Well, here's the thing, and I want to say this. First of all, that was a lot of fun.
It's so much fun. We had a great laugh.
We had a great laugh. We created a viral sensation. Let's check on how the tweet's doing.
Let's see the first tweet and the second tweet. Let's check back in. The first tweet is up to 152 retweets. The second tweet is up to 82 retweets.
Right.
The account is up to 304 followers.
I want to say that you are now, I believe, how many followers?
Let's see. Let me see. Let me refresh. 309 followers.
All right. 395?
309. 309.
All right. Within minutes, you will have surpassed the Twitter followers of the Wyoming Republican Party.
Great.
Now, admittedly, this is not much of a feat. They only have 399 followers, and they don't follow anyone.
Yes.
But let's beat the Wyoming GOP.
George, can you text me the handle of that account? Because I want to promise now, we have not yet figured out what the third tweet will be. But I want to promise now the fourth tweet will be telling that account to eat my ass.
All right.
The Wyoming.
Who do I hear laughing? Who do I hear laughing on the stream?
Who is giggling on this stream? I'm going to get into a Seth Rogen, Ted Cruz style flame war with the Wyoming Republican Twitter account telling them to eat my Toydarian ass as the giggles come from the heavens.
Is this a spooky buddy?
It is a spooky buddy.
Do I hear a spooky buddy? Listen, Patrick, you can't quit the show and stay on the stream.
You can't.
You're either in or you're out, and I know you're in because I know you would hate to not spend time with us.
Yes, we are your best friends, and you do not want to be left out.
What are you gonna do? Spend all day talking to your roommate Griffin?
Yeah, who is this guy? He sounds like a real piece of dick cheese.
He is. He is a real piece of dick cheese.
Patrick, we're sorry. We're sorry if our having fun hurt your feelings.
It did.
We're sorry if you were offended by us raising thousands of dollars for the ASPCA.
We're not at 10,000 yet.
I said thousands.
I know, but I want to be at 10,000, and I'm mad that we're not there yet.
Let's get to 10,000.
Are we even close? Are we even close?
I don't know. I need people to donate.
We must be close, mustn't we?
We must be close, must.
I need people to donate. Here's the thing.
Richard really is sword fighting, and it's awesome.
I agree.
I don't know what I'll be honest. I'm looking at the movie. I don't know what the difference is between this and Raiders.
I have to be incredibly honest. I cannot believe this movie is still going. At the point that Richard left this stream, I thought to myself, he's been so generous. I can't believe he stayed for a full 90 minutes. And then I checked the time code and realized we were less than halfway through the movie. I don't know how this movie has been going on.
Tell me, name one way in which this movie is different than Raiders.
0 ways. I said this. You were away from the stream, George, but I said this is the Buddies film that is most indebted to your work.
Oh, I love it.
Patrick.
You know what I would love? Richard as Indiana Jones.
Oh,
Patrick.
Yep.
What?
That's a great pitch. George.
Yeah.
Would you mind leaving this stream for one moment?
No.
Patrick, make us full screen.
Make us full screen?
You and I, we're here.
Yeah, we're here, full screen.
Thank you for doing it.
Here, we'll do this. Go ahead.
No, make both of us.
No, but I'm still here. I'm talking to you.
I don't like this. Do the thing with the split. I'm at 339 on Twitter. The Wyoming Republicans are 399.
Yeah.
When I surpass them, when I hit 400, that will be the fourth tweet telling them to eat my Toydarian ass. But before that, I want to peel off the third tweet. And as a gesture of unification, to cross the aisle, to try to start the process of rebuilding our democracy. I want to let you write the third tweet.
Okay.
Patrick, you can write the third tweet. Tell me what to tweet.
Okay, I'm going to put it in the private chat.
I'm going to tweet it. I'm going to tweet it verbatim. It's announcement rules. You can bring George back. I just wanted people to understand this was a moment of intimacy, a friend reaching across the aisle. And Patrick. That Patrick will write the third tweet.
Patrick, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you do what you did before when you were trying to make both you and Watto full screen? But have us talk to each other like the way that Luke and Vader talk to each other at the end of Empire. Watto? Okay. Watto?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm doing right now?
You're trying to do the end of Empire when Luke and Vader are talking to each other.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
That is the thing you are trying to do.
I'm still mad about that second tweet.
It's not a three-way conversation. Stay out of here.
Patrick. Patrick.
Yeah.
Watto's right. It's not a three-way conversation.
It's Patrick. Patrick. Patrick.
Yeah.
Stay out of here. It's not a conversation.
Watto.
Patrick. Patrick, I posted the third tweet. I'm sorry if we gave you a lot of chin music. I posted the third tweet. I hope you're happy with it. I tried to just copy paste it and post it exactly how you wrote.
Oh no. Oh no.
What? Why are you saying oh no?
Because I'm going to. You're a fucking dickhead.
What?
You're such a dick.
What happened? I copy pasted. Was there a computer error? I copy pasted exactly what you wrote. I didn't editorialize at all. I took the thing you wrote in the private chat, I copy pasted, I put it as the third tweet. What was it? Show it full screen.
No, I did. I did.
No, you showed the profile. Show the third tweet in particular. Oh no, Patrick. I made a typo. I don't know how this happened. You wrote, follow my best friend at Patrick Adler.
No, put that away.
And somehow there was a typo. It put in, it was the Russian hackers. I didn't do it.
Oh my gosh.
It was Russia. I tried so hard to tweet the thing that you wanted me to tweet. I tried so hard. I don't know what to tell you. I'm so sorry.
Should I just cancel the guests for next week or figure out hope they figure out how to get on the show themselves?
I don't know. That sounds like it would be more difficult for you, the producer of each.
No, if I just don't email them. I think maybe that's what we do.
Patrick, you're the one who likes having guests on this show.
Yeah, but not if I'm not here. I don't care about the guests being on the show. You know, if I'm not a part, huh?
You'll always have a home here at the George Lucas Talk Show, Patrick.
Yeah, but I'm quitting.
Where are you gonna go? There's a pandemic on. You have diabetes.
I have a job.
Yeah. Didn't you have a meeting recently where you had to beg them to give you more work?
No, I wish. I wish that was true.
No, listen, I know you've already booked the guests for next week, and you're excited about them.
Yeah, I'm excited about them. But if I gotta quit the show, I'll quit the show. It's fine.
What are you gonna stay home on Sunday night and watch The Sopranos and Sex and the City?
Mm-hmm.
Woke up this morning, count yourself a gun, shame about it. Said you were the chosen one, shame about it. 1 in a million. Shame about it.
Oh, Samantha, I have my Cosmo.
With a full moon in your eye. Woke up this morning. Got yourself a gun.
Patrick, do me a favor.
What do you want, Watto?
I want you to refresh and look at the first ad tweet. Not the main feed. Look at the first ad tweet. Click on tweets and the replies.
That's very sweet.
I don't know if that counts, Watto.
We're at 377. We are only a few tweets away from you defeating the Wyoming Republican Party.
Guys, Richard. So hang on. Richard Riehle is in this movie.
Yes.
Do you know what the production designer of this movie's name is?
What?
Look at me, Watto. Michael Bolton.
Now, is Richard's first build of the live action actors? because I feel like he absolutely has the most screen time of anyone in this film.
Does Herman get the and? Herman must get the and.
That's my question, because these films, they always have a live action block, and then Richard Riehle, first build, baby, top of the call sheet. Mason Cook, too. I think Herman must have the and. Yes, Adam Alexei Mal, Lachlan Monroe. Yes, I'm a few seconds behind you guys. Yes. Lucky Mogolini and Edward Herman. And now we go voiceover block featuring huge for Rick.
You know what would, not to spoil season 3 of The Mandalorian or the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Hang on, George and Lana, we have to go over to the next stream. So we'll see you guys in a second. We're gonna pop over into that one.